Alright. Let's hope that the boy comes down. He's not going to. He's probably going to scream a little bit in the background. That's normal. It's been a little bit. Oh, nice. I've honestly not really very much interest to watch it because the little I've heard about it, it definitely does not sound like something I would probably enjoy even as a joke. But I hope it was good. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm getting started, buddy. Been so noisy recently. Well, welcome everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I'm your host, Isaac MCCanary. We're just gonna try to do some drawing today, and feel like I need to fix some stuff. I wasn't really happy with how certain parts of this was turning out, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to correct that. Mainly, it's this part. I actually don't like the way that her eyes move. I just don't. It just doesn't fit. Like, I don't want her to get distracted. It don't fit, or at least it doesn't fit to me. It also looks weird. I feel like I was having some trouble last time. So really all I need to change. I'm gonna focus on moving. Is this? He's just gonna sit behind me. Nice. Oh, that's also nice. I mean, movie popcorn is expensive. Movie popcorn is expensive? I mean, ooh, he's being a menace. He's being a menace back there. I need to move frame. I don't know. I just wasn't happy with that. And sometimes it's going okay. I just woke up, just kind of going slow. You know, just kind of going slow. It's all right. Nothing really to talk about. So we'll say I've had a very good streak of drawing for a while, and I'm starting to hit one of those upper limits. But I'm trying to instead of doing what I usually do, where I just start finding excuses to not draw. I actually am trying to uh, develop a little bit more tolerance, I guess, if that makes sense, to be able to, you know, actually keep working. Now, I'm trying to figure out how the hell I was doing this. Before, like, one thing that comes to mind is I do this, and I go here and delete it, but that doesn't feel right, but, oh well. That's how I'm gonna do it. Oh! Oh! I remember. Hold on. I don't actually have that. This one needs to be longer. I think I've just been pretty busy recently. Just been doing a lot, so it's been it's been a lot of work recently. I've been pretty uh inundated with stuff. So, and right now, just a lot going on. Just a lot going on. Really, I just need to focus drawing for the moment. Really what I need to focus on. So I need to know how long this action needs to be. This action should take like a few seconds. So it's going to be a lot of frames. So today might just be zenning out and focusing on a lot of drawing, as one does when they animate, is they draw a lot, believe it or not. Animation takes a lot of drawing. It's very weird. I might focus on my precision a little bit more today. Feel like I got a lot of good work last time in some ways, but in others I was like having kind of a bit of a jumping about. Wait a second. No, that's not what I mean. No, I just was not really keyed in, I think, last time. Today I just need to focus on drawing. I will say I think recently things have just been kind of weird for me. But it's fine. Some of those things are not my fault, and that's fine. And hey, in a lot of ways, things have been improving, so I have to say, that's fine. I mean, this is kind of a tough spot, I'll be honest, I think I've always kind of really waffled a little bit on this. There's always a feeling of uh, you always gotta put on the best face, and that's fine. As I've gotten older, what's weird is usually the things that bother me, I guess, uh, are not as simple in some ways, but it's fine. Mainly, it's just probably being really tired. It is awkward for Saturdays too, because Saturdays, I really want to get back onto kind of a streak. I was like doing really well for a while there, where I was keeping up a really good schedule, where I was keeping up like a good consistent schedule, and I feel like fairly recently I have unfortunately been a little bit I've been a little bit more drained. I'm starting to hit a little bit more of that upper limit. So, but I think part of that is being influenced by certain dumb things actually that I need to be like, don't, don't, don't. What I have to remember is a number is going up, and if number is going up, then nothing is wrong. Well, if number is going up, things are improving. That's what matters. That's what matters. Number going up. I'm still working on things. I'm still drawing. Biggest thing I just have to remind myself is if I'm drawing first. I can talk while I draw, but if the action that I'm currently doing is not drawing, then I need to stop talking for a second and get back to drawing, I guess. I think recently I've been having more of an upswing in things going kind of awry. The weird thing is not that things have never gone awry. That's not true. I think particularly recently they've just been particularly aggravating. I think that fairly recently I've had a kind of upswing in problems when I was for a while there. Like, well, what's funny is, uh, what's funny is I think it's more just me being tired that I can't just get like a stable baseline. Things have been exploding for a while now. It's just not just now kind of getting on my nerves, I think. And kind of she's just kind of a character design that is more or less, in all honesty, a culmination of aesthetic choices that I really really like. Is a bit of an I she's a bit of an influence of a lot of things. And if she ever develops anything like a story or anything more serious, I've like definitely kicked it around, utilizing her design for several different things. For now, she's mainly just kind of a mascot. I don't really have anything worked out character wise for her. She's just a person that I like to draw. She's a character design that I like. She's a bit of a personification of a couple of things. Of a couple of things. What are those things? Well, that's hard to explain because even I don't know. Mainly, they're just personifications of things that I like. So, mainly, she's just a design I really, really like. I mean, of course she would. Everybody does. You have to get along with Hydrate Man. It is not an option to not get along with Hydrate Man. This is a fact. This is a fact. And if you think you do that wrong, number one way to have Hydrate Man be even more on you. What's funny is I've had requests. I might have to make a Hydrate Man outfit at some point, and I kind of love that idea. That's all I'm gonna say. There is reason for me to make a Hydrate Man outfit. I need to get a blue morph suit if those exist. I don't know if they do. I know green morph suits do. I actually own a black morph suit for a costume I did a few years ago. Um, I would need like a blue morph suit or a white, a blue or white morph suit, and then I would need to figure out a couple of things. The actual outfit I don't think would be very very difficult. The hardest thing would be like mainly I just want to hit that design as much as possible. So I'd have to draw on the morph suit a little bit, I think. Obviously, I need the H2O on the face. I'm not buff enough. Hydrate. Listen, I need a buff friend for it. I need a buff friend to be Hydrate Man because Hydrate Man isn't an impersonation of me. Hydrate Man is an avatar to remind me to drink water. I don't embody Hydrate Man. Oh, it probably is. It's at least subliminal. I mean, Samus was one of my favorite characters. She was unironically my first crush. So Samus's design is one of my favorite female character designs. So there you go. I still can't believe, but I also got guff for a lot of things. I got guff for liking a girl. It was so weird. I got made fun of for liking Samus, and I'm like, she's literally a girl. What do you people want? It's elementary school. Then again, you're not allowed to like anything in any. My experience with hey hey Leon, buddy, Christ, he's fine, I guess. Everything's fine over here, I think. Sheesh. At least he didn't climb on my computer. That could have been bad. He's been really antsy recently. I hope he's okay. What? What's up, buddy? You have way too much energy. What is the deal? What? What? You're not allowed to like anything in school, though. I don't know why we grew up like that. At least I did. Hope it's better now, but I highly doubt it. Hell, there's sometimes where I get this impression that you're not even allowed to do that now, just in a different way. We'll just tell you you're not allowed to like things, which is equally stupid. They won't make fun of you for it, they'll just tell you you shouldn't like something. In some ways, it's just worse. At least I'm making progress. I'm hoping I can make some progress today. I think I'm still a little kind of man. I won't lie. Parts of this week messed me up a little bit. Still kind of. I'm just kind of going through it. Um, I will say, I will say, um, I do kind of like think about like, oh, I probably should just chill out and vibe out. And I should, I really should. So there's a part of me that's like, it's more difficult in some ways for me to just be like, it's nothing. Eh, I don't know why. I've always been the one to be like, if something bothers me, it's gonna bother me. That said, I'll at least try to put it aside, but I won't freaking kid myself. If anything, I'll probably be more like, if somebody, instead of being like, no, everything's fine, I'll be more like, I'm just, it's just how I am. Usually my kind of viewpoint, especially with things like this, is it's like, at least I'm still here and doing this. I think it's equally not great. Be like, I just can't do it. There's a certain part of me that's like, well, I actually would have never accomplished anything if I waited for the right perfect time. Oftentimes, from my experience, I've had to do things in conditions that were not great pretty much all the time. There we go. But I'm still trying, and that's really what matters to me. I feel like most people don't continue trying something if they're me. Gotcha. Is that right? Let me see. I don't know if that makes sense. Fair for me drawing the same thing a lot. I mean, that's animation. Honestly, if you are wanting to become an animator but don't want to draw the same thing over and over and over again, then you're not gonna probably want to be an animator. Now, granted, I thought that at one point, and look at me now. So, on the flip side, if you don't want to draw the same thing over and over again, do understand that there is a benefit in doing so, and having thus learned this, I regret ever thinking that I wouldn't want to draw the same thing over and over again. If anything, it's incredibly helpful. I do highly recommend trying. Essentially, if you are making anything, always try as many different mediums as possible. Because you never know when you're going to learn something from that medium that you can apply to another medium. It's super helpful. It's super useful to be able to just be like, to expand your skill set in a way and then apply that skill set in different ways. That is something that's immensely helpful. Immensely, immensely helpful. Because often I've found that when I take on a new medium or I try with a new medium or try with a different medium, I end up picking up skills from that medium that are going to help me with things I've already learned how to do, things I've already learned how what I've done. That said, there's every now and then, and I feel like this phenomenon, I can't be the only one who experiences it. I feel like every now and then I'll look at my older work, and it's not that I necessarily always think that it's better. There's always sometimes this feeling where I look at my older work and I'm just like, it I feel like there's always this feeling that I was tapping or trying something that worked for the time in a way that gave certain elements of my art an appeal that I'm like, I'm not sure if I have that or I've done that in a while. But what's weird is I don't hate my new art. It's a weird in between of I want my newer art. I want my old art to look like my newer art, but feel like my older art. Because a lot of my older art, I feel like I was much more focused on, just there's something about the proportion work that, whilst it wasn't always right, felt good to me, and I don't know why. And since I focused more on like trying to be more precise with my proportion work and everything, I feel like it's made some of my work feel a little bit more stale. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong. That's probably just a me thing. Art is weird. Being an artist is weird. It's hard to explain. It's hard to be an artist for more reasons than just it's not easy. I think there's also a sense of being an artist, you're constantly under a level of scrutiny for yourself and others that is incredibly not good. Um and that's rough. Like just saying it from my perspective. It's rough. Scrutiny in general. And that's the thing is like there's sometimes a feeling that you get when you're an artist or when you're making art that people look at your work and they think two things. Either A, wow, that's really good, or B, why did they make it this way? Why couldn't they have done it differently? And that's actually a much more difficult. That's not to say there should never be criticism. It's just a difficult thing as an artist that I think lives a little rent free in our brains of like, are we making things that are good enough all the time? I don't know. I don't actually know that. Probably the answer is no, but that doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Everyone does that, even if you don't make art. I had a weird week, guys. I've had a weird time. Experience has been awkward recently. Bit of a wet mess of a bunch of shit happening right now, so at any given moment. Like for equal signs. What, for eyebrows? Did I not draw her eyes? No, I did. Well, thank you. They're consistent. That's what matters. Hello, Kirby. How are you? Everyone is doing well. Hope everyone's doing well, and I feel like today is going definitely better. I think I was just very I'm still a person. I would say like compared to probably look like a lot of people looking in, it seems like, man, how could he just keep going? Hey, trust me, the engine's feeling a little raw right now, especially due to my brain kind of being a little bit too on point recently, and I need it to calm down. Um, I need to stop thinking about certain things. And that's why, usually, when I get into these kinds of moods, I do try to at least remind myself it's okay. It's fine. I'm still doing work, and that's what matters. And really, what's helped is, you know, actually, I think that I've still been getting the best support just blanketly I've ever had. And I've done a better job and have gotten to a better place about things that did bother me even more when I was younger. Namely speaking, I actually think that heckling has been less of a problem and that you guys have been a wonderful support, like, area of support and, like, you know, actually understand a little bit better that, like, even if it's not necessarily quote unquote the prime Twitch content that a lot of people watch for, that, actually heckling me is not that fun. It's not fun for me, and I don't know. You guys have been good about that. I do want to say that. Like, that has not become as much of a thing anymore, and it has got me to a point that I'm willing to call it out when it actually happens. And even though it bothers me that it happens from time to time, I have to remind myself that, man, it's still gonna happen. People gonna do that, even if they don't mean to. The fucking internet. People can't help themselves. They're on the internet. They think they're people on the internet think that their actions don't matter. So people are gonna act like their actions don't matter. So I have to. That's why I want to appreciate that actually things have been good. Things have been good overall. It's just I was faced with something that I hadn't had to face with a while, and a little bummed out that it happened, and I felt like I handled it poorly. And that's the hard thing about doing streaming and doing like stuff like this is you're putting yourself out there. Anyone is putting themselves out there. And there's a certain level of vulnerability that I don't think that people understand that you have to be comfortable showing that I am comfortable showing. I wouldn't even be talking like this if I was uncomfortable showing this. But it's a reality of it's still there. And for me, the defense mechanism I've come up with is if people are going to have a problem with that, then they're not worth my time. That said, it still is really aggravating. It's still like really annoying. So I appreciate that there are people out there who are okay with this. Like, I can make jokes, I could be a goofball, but also I'm glad that you guys have largely also enjoyed the more serious parts of my work and our work as a group. Because, like, we love, like, for example, when we're doing, like, voice acting and we're doing slightly more serious games, like, I hope you guys like when we take it seriously, because the reality is me and my friends are absolutely invested in drama for entertainment and for exploration of like human interaction. We like that, and we like being able to express that. Like, we be a bunch of goofballs, and we can always like play along with that. And then also we like being serious when serious matters. I grew up and started my work shitposty, and that's never gonna end. Trust me. I'll always be a shitposter. Trust me, the shitposting ain't never gonna end. Just know that in a weird sense, like both for my inspirations and like everything I've done and where I'm at, like I still live in existential dread, and I'm gonna bring you with me. So if you don't like it, then sure, at this point, this is the final warning. But if you do, I appreciate it. I really do. The human brain has too much energy to worry about things. At least I'm trying to do something about it. But really, I also think just right now things are rough in general. I think people are getting really, 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 really exhausted by certain world altering, phenomenal experiences we're all having right now that no one should be surprised by yet. Even I am too. Uh, that's certainly not helping. And then I saw somebody, they're another artist who I've interacted with a couple times. I consider them like an acquaintance, who recently kind of seemed like they were they sounded very dejected about something, which is not typical of them. I hope they're okay. And the reason why I bring that up is I think there's this feeling right now, especially, that I at least want to like process on my own of, am I being successful enough? And I have a bone to pick right now with that impression, because right now it is incredibly difficult to be successful no matter what anyone says. You're it's incredibly difficult. It's actually a problem, I would argue. It's a very serious problem that people can work incredibly hard. This person is an amazing artist. She's grown a lot, and she's in, from my perspective, been successful, and she's to herself is not successful. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Not to blame her. I mean that as in, that's fucked up, that is not good enough. And I think that is true. I think that's a real thing. I think that she's valid in feeling like she didn't do well enough. And that's a problem. Absolutely. Success is becoming incredibly, exceedingly difficult to actually be in this day and age. And that's starting to really concern me. Concern my cat. What? You have been such a big baby. So yeah, that's also something that was on my mind. I think right now, especially artists, all kind of have this feeling of like, we want to we want to hey, welcome! Hello, everybody! Hi, Comfy, and hello, Rain. Welcome to my existential ramblings about art, as I do animation. Hey. I mean, I would say, if anything, that's more of a show of the times, Comfy. And hello, everybody. I think that's more of a, how do I put this? That's more of a real, tangible thing that I think everybody's cluing in on, is that the whole mentality of pull yourself up by your bootstraps is becoming less and less and less actually a meaningful thing. And I have a problem with that, because in reality, I do think that should be on some level valid. And even it's not valid anymore. It's becoming so much less valid as time goes on. To be successful is to drink water. Let me give you a shout out and everything, but that's what we're talking about. And the fact that I can see somebody who is an incredible artist, who has grown and even recently did an art class, like, is doing great things. And one of the things she said recently is that she does not feel like she's worked hard enough. Now, granted, she's also younger, so that could also be a youth thing. And that's not a judgment either. That's just a fact. That's nothing against her. That's being young. Um, I'm still young, by the way. I'm old young. Always remember that. I'm 30. I can't say I'm old until I'm actually like 50 or 60. Then I'm allowed to say I'm fucking old. But I understand that. And even I run into that every now and then. Oh, I still have plenty of time. Big quotes around that, though it still stresses. It becomes a little bit more, hey guys, even when you understand that you still have plenty of time, you become more ekingly aware of, but not as much as you had before. Terrifying. Gotcha. Well, let me get you a shout out. And thanks for coming over, Squid. I hope you have yourself a good day. Ooh, I haven't done anything like that in a while, actually. I was thinking about that recently. I need to bust out the old, I need to bust out the old, well, not the old. It's not mine. It's actually the new, because it's not mine. It's new to me. I got to bust out the new old, um, pressure cooker and make some stock again. I haven't done that in a while. Um, I need to mix up my cooking. I've actually been I go through stages where I'm like, oh, I found something I really like to cook because it's both easy and tasty, and then I'm just like, I need to eat something else. I need to eat something else. I can't eat and do the same thing over and over and over again forever. Actually, I do need some kind of variety at some point. What's funny is I feel like you could look at me playing Monster Hunter and you could look at me playing Helldivers and be like, "What do you mean?" You could look at me playing Hunt and you're like, "You play those games constantly and you've been playing them forever. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Well, you have to understand that the variety's baked in." And I feel like sometimes I get a little bit of judgment of that. It's like, why do you have a weapon for every single weapon class in Monster Hunter? I don't know, because if I just use Sword and Shield every single time, hot take, I'd get bored. I like doing things different to keep things fresh for myself. That's why I don't main things in any game. I do try. If I have comfort picks. A comfort pick is not a main, right? Like a comfort pick is there if I'm like, you know what, I just need to you do something that I'm more naturally inclined to be able to do that I can do. That's what the comfort pick is for. But actually maining stuff, I played Overwatch and I always wanted to do DPS, but because I wasn't practiced in it, I was discouraged from doing it because it would mean playing at a disadvantage for our entire team, which sucks because I'm like, but I like playing DPS no matter what. Now, granted, there's still plenty of variation. Like I would play a different tank or a different support every match. Like I didn't ever. That's the thing. It's like I just have to be doing something different. Anyways, back to what we were talking before. I don't even know how we got on that. Um, yeah, I think success is becoming actually antagonistically difficult to achieve right now. Right now. And I don't necessarily know what more to do about it than just further puff out my chest and say, fuck it. You know? Like, I do not know what to do other than that. Like, it's certainly, it certainly is becoming incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. And this is coming from me, who sometimes one must fuck it, we ball, despite the sense of it is what it is. Exactly. And this is coming from me, who I think my relationship with success and my development with success has been my success is defined not by other people, it's defined by what I have achieved in spite of things to a certain extent. That really is how I try to quote unquote rate my success as an individual. Because I feel like I if I look at what other people have done, younger people, older people, I feel like no, I haven't really succeeded at anything, but that's against other people. If I look at what everything I've done in spite of that, the fact that I haven't quit, how many people would have quit when they weren't immediately gratified that it was going to work out? Because that's how people act sometimes, it feels like. And granted, I just don't know what that's like. Or very little of it. I just don't know what that's like. And I instead try to utilize that to be like, as you say, fuck it, we ball. Because I don't get immediate gratification. And let me paraphrase that. I do not receive immediate gratification on pretty much anything. Happens very rarely for me. And if it does, I I I it's like a nugget of gold that I have to swallow. I don't know how people get it. I don't know how people get it enough that they can just be like, yeah, that's normal. And I think a lot of that is again this feeling that success is easy to achieve sometimes, and that if you don't get that immediate, if you don't get that immediate like gratification, that you're doing something wrong. You're not. I want to maintain that you're not doing something wrong, but if you aren't immediately gratified with a result. Well, now you don't go. You don't got no. So yeah, and I think that also is both there's kind of a cultural problem. I am going to call it a problem. I think it is a consequence right now of a lot of the way that we consume media demands a lot of immediate gratification for things and demands a reduction in a waste of attention, which is valid and a problem at the same time. It means people want something that is not going to bother them. But on the flip side, it means that there's less patience and less willingness to engage with something if it wastes their time. And that's tough because I've been on both sides of that camp. I have examples for both. I think that it's really frustrating that people won't be patient with something that's older just because it's older. But on the flip side, I cannot deal with games like, say, Tarkov, because that game fundamentally wants to waste your time in a way that is grating. And then both sides, I'm a little at odds with. Because a lot of people won't engage with something just because it's older, and it might have some jankiness, or it looks older, or there's a newer version of it, and they think, wow, why would I watch the old one? We got a newer one, and it looks better. And in my opinion, the newer one doesn't always look better. But that's just me. We don't gotta get into that. That's a rebuild series and posh. That's been debated to hell and back of whether or not it's subjective at that point. You either like the newer ones or you like the older ones. I do not think it is, well, I think it is much less common to be like, they're both great. I don't know why. I always feel like there's always this opinion of either you prefer the way the older series worked, which is like me and Sean, or at best you can appreciate what the older series did, but the newer series is better. And I'm like, oh man, doesn't necessarily mean I like it. And there maybe is an example there. That scrutiny I was kind of mentioning earlier. There's always this feeling of if you've done something right, why can't you just do it right again? The reality is doing something right sometimes happens on accident. Like, I think that any good piece of media and any bad piece of media at their cores are made with the same intent. Now, argument, a difference in skill, a difference in application, a difference in understanding, and a difference in psychology can make the difference between something being really good and being really bad. But the counter to that, the more broader scope kind of perspective I'm trying to paint here is individual artists can go from making something great and making something controversial by just being themselves. That's the confidence showing. That's my confidence showing. Where my lack of confidence is, you missed the part where I deleted like 8 frames because I was like, I need to delete my art. I don't like the way this looks, even if it looks fine. I definitely am much more confident, and I think today I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And I'm glad. I was a little bit apprehensive. I've been a little bit apprehensive. I was a little bit apprehensive. I ended up not doing Gartic Phone yesterday because I kind of needed some time. I was trying to fix something that I couldn't fix, by the way, so we're not going to have, unfortunately, the music. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can't hear the music in the VOD anyways. So maybe this is just a dead thing anyways. Um, but I liked it. I liked being able to have on screen the music, so that way you guys could find the music yourself. That's the whole point in like crediting and stuff. Actually, is to be like, hey, if you like the thing I did, this is what it is. You could go find it too. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I guess. So I might try to find at least an alternative. I might make a chat bot so that way, since it's live anyways, that way this is just screen and it doesn't distract. That might be something I might try. But yeah, I do feel bad. I do want to reach out. Like I said, I think I'm acquaintances with this person, so I just want to be like, hey, you're a great artist, and whatever's going on, I'm sure you'll get through it because we all do, unless you die, which isn't necessarily your fault usually. Um, like a bump in the road is a bump in the road. It happens. Really, I'm glad that I can utilize this platform to be able to admit that. I had a couple bumps on the road this week. Like I said, I hadn't had to really deal with heckling in a long time, and I really appreciate that. And it kind of happened unintentionally, and it was something that I was like, oh yeah, I have to remember. I have rules about that. I gotta actually stick up for myself. So Yeah. And it bums me out that you probably can't look this up. This is, yeah, but I guess I can just do what I always do. If I can't automate it, I'll do it I'll do it manually. I want to, now that's not, don't listen to that. I don't know how that didn't copy correctly. Don't listen to that. I should delete that. There you go. That's what we're listening to right now. So I guess if you ever want to know what we're listening to, I can post it in the chat for now. I should just make exclamation point song. Yeah. And then instead of something automatic happening, it just says, hey, what song's playing, idiot? I have to go, oh yeah. Because Nightbot, I remember trying to look that up for my Nightbot, and Nightbot might not be able to support it easily. And then I had, the scrolling text, but it broke recently. It just won't work anymore. And I think it was partly my fault. I had one of those. You ever have one of those times where you're just like clicking around? Like, see, this is what I've done so far. Is it just says out of order at the moment. So that's what we're dealing with. But I feel like it was working fine, and then I was like clicking around. And you ever have one of those moments where you like space out, and you look at your screen again, you're like, what the fuck? Why is that open? How did that get open? And the browser extension that I use was just open for some reason to make that scrolling text work where it says the name of the song or the name of the YouTube video we're listening to. It was just open for some reason. I was like, that's weird. And then the next time we streamed that day, it was working earlier that day. I noticed, oh shit, it's not saying the name of the song anymore. What the fuck? Well, I'll have to figure that later. And I reinstalled the plugin. I guess I haven't tried reinstalling Tuna, but I don't know why that would do anything because the plugin was fine. I didn't touch the plugin, I touched the extension. And everything I've done hasn't made it reappear, and I just noticed that it had had an update that was 2 days prior, which was about the day that it stopped working. So the extension just might be broken right now, and hopefully it'll fix itself. Oh no. I was so desperate I even went into the HTML, and yeah, I did find error tags and fucked with them, and it didn't do anything. So, and that's only me fucking with error tags because I know enough about HTML to know that at least I won't break it because I can fix the things that I change, or I can undo the things that I change. But it doesn't necessarily know I know how to fix it. It just means that if I tinker with something, I know how to put it back the way it was before it breaks something more. Also, hello, Silos. Also, a lot of people, I feel like, there is an assertion, to kind of go back to our discussion on success, is it is also very easy to be like, it's luck. I got lucky, they got lucky, whatever, whatever, whatever. And yes, I think that's an element of it. Except, I want to put an exception on this. I think even the people who will say, I got super lucky and I'm super grateful, forget, and it has happened, and I've noticed it happening, is that when things start to change, you start feeling your success wane. And what do you do about that? Kill him, Silos. Thank you. What do you do about that? Even when success is earned, maintaining it is arguably just as hard, if not harder. It's one thing to obtain success. It's another to keep it. And I bring this all up to be the tiny existential goblin that I am. Not because I'm directly experiencing all that. It's because I'm looking down the line and being like, okay, I keep doing this, and one day I do hit that mark. What happens if it just goes away? What do you do when success just disappears? I think people are starting to notice that too. I think people are starting to notice that that can happen. Not to say that it's never not happened before. I think people are noticing, oh shit, oh fuck, it's hard to keep your success. It's really hard to keep success, actually. And it's stressful. Pretty much. Just me continuing to wax on. And that's why I'm like, at the very least, I'm glad I'm where I'm at. I'm glad I haven't quit. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna try to keep doing what I do. And like, it is difficult. It is difficult. It's me. Well, it's not actually me. It's a character that I have developed over time. Her name is Canary. She's just kind of a, she's kind of a channel mascot aside from me. Also, hello. Welcome, Pasta. Hello, Pasta. What's funny is the first time that this character design actually appeared was probably in my playthrough of Monster Hunter Portable 3rd is the first time that Canary ever appeared. And back then, she used to be blonde. Oh. Oh, that's a whole story. Hey, Silos. You still got $1,000,000, right? And by that, I mean 1,000,000 points, right? This animation is going to be redeemed because Silos here is a madman. He's been watching the stream for a long time, and this will appear on screen when I finish animating it for them to redeem. Technically, the redeem is there, but it's just there to hint that there will be something more. Boy, I'm gonna have to draw for a long time. Well, on your way to 2 million, you're gonna have to do it twice. Animal. You freaking animal. Also, I can't believe I did that to the eyes. I need to be careful. That's a thing that's really tough with animation sometimes, is when something like this happens where your eyes get kind of altered and you don't mean to. One of the things I try to maintain when I'm drawing is that I have to keep exaggerating just like a little bit, so. You open to some ideas for a funny animation. Actually, unfortunately, Hyper, this is for a very specific project that's going to be going for a very, very, very long time. That said, technically speaking, yes, if you get 1,000,000 points, because the 1,000,000 points will give you a commission for watching the stream. You get to request something. But also this will appear on stream. Otherwise, I just do my own thing, so. Keep watching. Keep watching. You too can eventually request something, yes. But this is not going to be finished today. This has been this is a bigger project. This is a project that's been going on for a while. And this project will go on for a while because it's like a big thing that I'm trying to like work on and have a whole development process. I've been utilizing this as an opportunity to both show what I've learned and my own developmental process and what it is like to develop an animation process. A lot of this has been still new for me to learn. I've done animation on and off for a long time, but I haven't really sat down until about the last year and a half um, to really sit down and practice and study and develop animation. So this is like the first like really solid year of animation that I've ever done. So, mm-hmm. Like we also do every now and then we do Gartic phone. I've just been working a lot. I've hit one of those upper limits where I think I've been working a lot, and I need to vibe. I just need to make sure I'm still working on stuff, but not worry otherwise. And this is the thing to remember is animation is not fast. Animation is very, very slow. I would say I've gotten faster at it. Like I've gotten very proficient at it, and it still is like, God, so much work. Takes a long time. Mm-hmm. And just to clarify, always remember, actually, uh, requests are something here that are kind of uh no, I should say it as is. They're kind of a no-no only because um mainly I don't listen. I just don't listen. I just do whatever I want. So, you know, the boy never listens. That is a thing here. We're all just along for the ride to have fun. I think part of the reason why I get so resistant to requests is actually it's like, I don't know, just get to know me. Just see what I'm doing. And also, I think sometimes I've both had a bad experience in which somebody asked me to do something and then they were kind of a jerk about it actually. And also the only thing that people care about is what, you know, I can do for them instead of what I'm doing, which is just kind of like, come on, man. Join me for the journey. I'm making a thing. Whatever they decide to do is ultimately up to me. So, uh-huh. I liked it. It was good. It was cute. Uh-huh. See, that's where I would say I can get your printer working, but you're not going to pay me for it, so. But then again, it depends on the person. Like, obviously, if I like, if you're somebody that I like know or like I'm familiar with, um, And I like you, like, yeah, I'll fix your printer, whatever. Printer. Usually printers are not. I've how often printers fucking break around me. I have become a little bit of a printer um whisperer. I think generally I would rather people be on board for what I'm actively doing than people be concerned with like I don't know. I'd just rather people be on board for whatever I'm doing. I am doing the thing. I did the thing. Never. That's scary. Right? Like, if I'm working on an art piece, especially like this, and it isn't established as a commission, to which also, yes, you could always commission me to do something, I guess. Just know that is still something. At this point, if I ever do try to work in commission work, I think I will be like, feel free to commission me. We'll have a contract, and in that contract is I'm allowed to whatever the content is something that I can share and that I can share live. So if you want me to, and if I can't, that's gonna come at a premium. Actually, that's gonna cost you extra because it means that I have to divert time that I would have been working on this to do something that I can't do live. Which I think is fair. I think that's a fair way to handle that. I don't know. Essentially, yeah. Hot take. If you want an artist to do something for you, there's a way to do it. There are proper channels as well, but there's a way to do it. There's a way to get an artist to draw something you want. Just saying. Exactly. There's always a way. Well, I can't afford it. Let the artist draw whatever they want then. And enjoy it. That's all I want. That's all I want is for people to be able to join me on this stuff and just be like, yeah, he's making a cool thing. They're making a cool thing. Yeah. That's another thing is like, don't ever ask me to do something else. It's like, I'm not going to do something else. I'm going to do the thing I want to do right now because I want to be able to do the things I want to do, knowing that people are going to want to watch them because of doing them, not because it's what they want. Which is kind of antithetical, I think. It's unfortunate that that's not how things work. But I don't agree with that assertion either. I think that's really unfair and and very reductive to be like, you need to do what people want, not what you want. And it's like, well, then there's got to be a compromise. There's got to be a middle. There has to be. Otherwise, I'm never going to do anything people want. And I just have to live with that fact. So, you know, I just have to understand that I'm not going to do things that everybody likes, and that's fine. What matters to me is the people who are watching, the people who are engaging, the people who do like what I do. Yeah, do it for you. Because you guys want to see what I do rather than want to see want to see me do things. you know, you also have a scope and understanding of what I'm interested and comfortable with doing. Helps a lot too. So exactly. Thank you, Silos. Precisely. Now I don't know what you mean by peanut gallery. I don't know what peanut gallery is, sir. Are you gonna scream at me to come into to jump into my lap, or are you just gonna scream at me? You've been a terror this morning. I mean, you're not being awful. You've just been incredibly irate. Hello, sir. Boy is here. Boy is here. What are you doing? Buff creature. Buff monster. Actually, I haven't. I need to, and I know I need to. Absolutely. What's so funny is for having never seen it, I constantly compare our stream, like the stream, especially when I'm playing with friends, to 3000, Science Theater 3000, because very much from my impression, without having seen it, very much the same vibe. That is exactly what we do. That is exactly how we behave, and it would be helpful. Like I actually think it would be good inspiration. So. And I've always loved the idea behind it. Every time I've been reminded of its existence, I'm like, "Oh my god, that sounds right up my alley." So I should pop those on. Next time I need to put that on the list. I have a list. Uh let me find the title of the list because it's a very stupid list. And originally it was books, but I've also extended it to movies and I need to put Mystery Theater 3000. 3000? Is that really what it is? Mystery Science Theater 3000? The term originated back in theater where the cheapest seats were the... Oh. That's okay. I haven't thought of the term peanut gallery in a long time. Now that you like say it that way, I'm like, yeah, I think I've heard that before. Ah, yes. It is the list of things to read when you have nothing else to do or read. That also now has movies on it. See, and that's where it's like, but you understand the kind of heckling that doesn't cause problems, so I appreciate that. All I'm saying is if you're gonna heckle me, at least make sure I'm engaged with it. Otherwise, I'll just ignore it. That's no fair. Silos is a mod and has been there for 7 years. Yeah, that helps. Silos has also been a mod and been here for 7 years, so he knows what kind of heckling I actually enjoy. They became riff tracks. I've also heard of that, but I don't know what it is. Is it similar? Is it something similar to 300, 3000 Science Theater? Also to kind of to give some scope, to give a little bit of an impression or scope of like what I'm willing to do, what I'm interested in, what my sense of humor is. Um, like I have a very dry sense of humor. I have a very dry sense of humor, and with this animation, the sense of humor I am looking for has everything to do with her response and how disinterested she is in being here. That is really what I'm going for. And that is the kind of sense of humor that I have. That is the kind of like characterization I like to do a lot. So bear that in mind. Like that's just what I enjoy drawing. That's what I enjoy doing. Um, and that's why I'm like, I don't know. Always remember too that something can sound funny or cool or amazing or whatever, but actually doing it, actually experiencing it, actually drawing it isn't always the case. Especially if it's just not a topic that gels. Have very, very, very specific intention. Also, I am always a proponent to be like, just what we're doing now. This is what we're doing now. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about those things. Engage with what's happening now. And no, I won't do anything else. Ooh, that's nice. Is it the same guys? I might have to check that out sometime. Well, I will say, it is a weird experience I've had. I've literally had to make that rule, and then I don't know why people are like, oh, you made a rule about not doing a thing, so I'm going to do the thing. Um, I don't know why I have. I think part of the reason why I had that rule is it happens to me a lot. Um, I feel like I've seen, maybe it does happen to other artists, it probably does. But I feel like I join artists all the time, and the last thing I see is anyone telling them what to draw. I just don't understand why people want to tell me what to draw. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's such a weird thing. I've run into it too much. In fact, it leaves me in a bit of a headspace of being like, but that's not what I'm drawing. So yeah. Mm-hmm. But you understand, Stylos, that I'm not drawing a dinosaur right now, but I'll draw a dinosaur eventually. I think people who do understand that about me are, again, it's like, join me for whatever the heck I've got planned or not planned. I just decide to do. You know, I certainly do not need help finding ideas. My brain has too many of them all the fucking time. I do not need help finding ideas. That's for sure, certain. And if I do, I know where to look. Like, I do not require help with ideas. Ideas are something that are in my brain constantly, rent free all the time. If anything, I'm constantly thinking about like some new idea, sometimes to my own detriment. Exactly. I feel like that's a weird bit of etiquette that artists have to contend with a lot about the fact that people just don't do that. At least I did. I don't know. Maybe some artists don't. If you don't, I'm glad that you're able to not worry about people just randomly being like, hey, can you do this? And then being like, I mean, but why though? Without any prompting, you know? So, God, I'm gonna have to draw so many fucking frames. I have to draw so many more frames. It's just not long enough. Christ. This is gonna be a long one. This portion is gonna be long. Exactly. Yeah. animation takes a long time. A really fucking long time. That's why it's like, it's a weirdly discouraging thing. It's the reason why I'm talking about is it's a weirdly discouraging thing when you're working on something and it's going to take you a long time to work on it. You know it's going to take you a long time to work on it. And instead of being like, damn, you're doing good work, keep it up, and like engaging with what you're doing, to immediately be told, you should be drawing something else. It's like, no, 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 I shouldn't. Or why don't you draw something else? It's like, my dog. You see how long it's taken me to draw this? You think I'm just gonna get this done in the next 5 minutes? This is a multi-month project, my guy. My people. So if you're out there, and you know what? I should not be afraid to say stuff like this, because it's like, no, absolutely not. Content aside, I'm not in a position to start a different project and just draw something else. And just generally, I think I need to be more willing to like actually be like, hey, wait a second. Like really though, I do think I have a problem of like being a little too wary to be like, I can't say that. What if they don't like that? And it's like, well, have rules for a reason, for one, and for two, I don't like it. I don't like it, and I should say that I don't like it, and that's a fact. Like I don't like it, and that's just a fact. Doesn't have to go any farther than that. I just don't like it. Don't like when people do it, and I gotta be able to say that so that way people know I don't like it. And regardless of how that goes, it's like whatever, whatever. You know, like I had to be willing to say, hey, that's not daijobu. What are you doing, sir? What are you doing, sir? You being a pill today. Come on. You know, especially if you're new here, if you don't know what's going on. Like, I have limitations, and I have things that I shouldn't tolerate because they do bug me. And the only way to be like, hey, this bugs me is to say, hey, this bugs me. So that's all. That it's as simple as that. And I should be willing to do that because God knows I think I get told a lot what I like do. And you know what? I'm a person too. Things bug me. This is this is a platform that I inhabit on largely my own free will. So I should be willing to be like, nah, actually, no. Sure. What the fuck about unscrambling your eggs? Uh-huh. Not many people are ever in a situation where they need to unscramble eggs, so that's why I wouldn't be very practical for the average human. I mean, I don't even know what that would entail. What would it take to unscramble an egg other than going back in time? Can't really, because the whole thing about scrambling an egg, I guess you could some weird process of removing the yolk, removing the yolk from the white, but good luck, you chemist, you biochemist monster. You better not have fleas, okay. But, saying. Yeah, you just gotta be nice to it. Be polite. The egg has feelings too. The egg's a person too. Need to make sure. Honestly, overdrawing it is helpful. I don't know how that happens sometimes where if I'm animating, I end up losing mass. I don't know how that happens sometimes. It's a very weird thing. It happens every now and then where I'm like, how did things get smaller when they're not moving? It happens every now and then. Yeah, I did. I did actually. In fact, I need to watch the follow-up video. Apparently, he made a mistake. I just need to know what he made a mistake on because education is important to me. And in my opinion, this is something that I think people forget a lot when it comes to science is that scientists make mistakes and the people who analyze things make mistakes. And you want to know the right thing to do when someone makes a mistake. It's something that they're studied or at least researched heavily. It's called you recognize it and you fix the mistake. Um, Still to this day, bugs the ever living fuck out of me that anytime a scientist makes a mistake, an entire uproar happens in which people go, "See, science is flawed." Sorry, guys, nothing is perfect. Science actually takes responsibility for when it does things wrong when it's done right. So, in practical superpower would be the ability to summon a snail once per day. Now, it depends on. I don't think that's impractical. Depends on how useful of a situation a snail is in. And there are situations where a snail would be useful. There are situations in which a snail can serve use. I am thinking with my stomach, though, so take that for what it is. Also, they're incredibly slippery if you step on them. So, still a value. You can get some. It's tactical value. You gotta really think about how you apply the snail. Input tactical snail. Gotta save tactical snail. Well, sorry. I've eaten many mollusk. They're too tasty. I'm sorry. They're too delicious. I would eat the fuck out of some mollusks right now if I could. Now that might be useless just because, well, that's not useless because I think all that would mean is that I would turn all red wine into white wine and that's it. Chardonnay's okay, it's just not for me. At least the Chardonnay I had was not very good, and I like bitter things. But then again, this was a Chardonnay that was on every single table for a banquet, so I could only assume that it wasn't very expensive Chardonnay. I hope I'm getting the right wine. Chardonnay is the red one, right? Can't remember what the white one is called. I liked the sour over the bitter. The bitter was just too much, and I like a nice bitter, but it just kind of hurt. It was just like getting punched. Well, sure. A gun is useless in a lot of situations, actually. Can't cook with a gun. Can't do your taxes with a gun. Well, you could try to do your taxes with a gun. Variable, variable results. Variable results. Come with a Picatinny rail to attach a laser dot. Absolutely. At least it should. Or you could just ask for it to hold it. The snail can't comprehend English, but it's just being polite at that point. I ask my cat things all the time. He doesn't understand anything I'm saying. Probably. The boy screams at me when I say when I say Sata Andagi, so he knows some things, but he doesn't necessarily know anything. Oh, there he is. Sata Andagi. So he didn't say anything, but he definitely showed a response, like ear twitched when I said it, so. I mean, I highly recommend. I actually do highly recommend the second Suicide Squad. It has an entire introduction about impractical superpowers. It's pretty good. Um, it's a good movie. I like it. It reminds me that I actually need to watch the um the spin-off TV show with John Cena. I didn't I somehow having seen memes for that movie did not know that John Cena was in that movie and it caught me completely by surprise. It's really funny. He does a really good job. It's a good movie though. I like it quite a bit. It is entertaining. It's really good. Harley has no purpose being there. That's my only criticism. Hot take. Harley doesn't need to be in that movie. So frankly, it seems based on that assessment and some elements of the Arkham series, Harley doesn't need to be in anything, it seems, because nobody knows what to do with her. So it's true. I didn't see him. He was there the whole time. I don't even think Harley's a bad character, by the way. I just feel like I haven't seen her utilized well in a piece of media. I can't think of one. I think she was okay, and I have to replay the Arkham games. I get the impression that she's not great in the Arkham games, but I also get the impression that I didn't mind her in the Arkham games. So who knows? I think I need to reflip my um interpretation and just watch it again, play it again. I haven't played the Arkham games in a long time, and honestly, that's one of the things that I want to like revisit because they were incredibly formative actually to my youth. I played Arkham 1 and Arkham 2, and Arkham 2 was like one of my favorite games growing up. Uh, uh, and I've heard good things about the third game, actually. I never played Arkham 3, I never played Arkham Knight. Uh, it's supposed to be very, very, very good, actually. I just was burned out. I have a wariness of the number 3 when it comes to anything. Also, hi Slime Knight. Also, hi Hyperbot. You get 1% stronger for every pen you're carrying. See, but that would actually you underestimate the power of 1%. 1% is actually incredibly strong. Because it doesn't take that much to carry a pen. Think about it. It's not one. It does not take 1% of your power to hold a pen. I would say it takes less than 1% to hold a pen. In fact, what you have is an incredibly great superpower with the value of big numbers. Exactly. Like, you would be surprised that 100 pens means you've doubled your strength. What, Slime? And this isn't to poke holes. This is to me to say, like, actually, you've come up with an incredibly practical superpower by accident. Exactly. So if you were holding 100 pens, that means you're twice as strong as you were before. And 100 pens probably isn't even 10 pounds. I couldn't imagine. Like, you could put 100 pens in a box. You could put like 5,000 pens in a box and it's like maybe a pound. 100 pens is not that many pens. You'd be surprised. 100 pens in a backpack would fit easily and not be that heavy, and you'd be twice as strong. Oh, they don't. Oh, absolutely. You highly underestimate how easy it is to hold 100 pens, my guy. I could fit that in a shoebox, no problem. And I know that for a fact because I've seen like shipments of boxes of like thousands of pens and they fit in something that's really not that much bigger than a shoebox. That too. Load them shits up, buddy. Does the second pen multiply the gains from the first pen too? Exactly. Is it scaled? See, this is the power of this stream is actually we're very proactive here, right? Like we're not cutting this down because it's useless. We're like, no, actually this would be really good. When you think about it, this could be really strong. I could break this. Unfortunately, you're in a community that even though I'm all like, I don't care about min-maxing, I still love breaking systems. I'm sorry. I'll break a system if you give me the opportunity. I like thinking about it still. Truly impractical. That is something that I think I struggle a lot with is the concept of true impracticality because I like to believe that if something can exist a certain way, then it can have a purpose. It can have a purpose. So you're saying you had to physically be holding them. I don't know. I think in both hands I could probably carry 100. Eh. Oh, in your pockets? Then yeah, I could definitely hold 100 pens. You don't know what I fit in my pockets, even without cargo pants. Absolutely. Dude, I used to shove entire bottles, like full bottles of water, and like not small bottles, like pretty like 2 liter bottles into my pants at one point. I would fuck up pockets, man. Well, everybody can punch. If you can't punch through cheese, you're just weak. I guess it depends on the cheese. If you're talking about solid blocks of cheese, then sure. If you're saying like any thickness of cheese, then yeah. But I feel like if you gave me enough time, I would just eat it. Oh man, I made an oscillating an oscillating action, so I actually have to hold this longer. I have to think about It's difficult sometimes. You'd be surprised. It's hard to think about things sometimes. It's difficult. Thinking about things could be weird. It can be weird. This is true, Silos. You can't detach any part of your body exactly once. Well, your head definitely only once. I guess you could arguably detach and reattach. It would just be really hard. Uh-huh. No, 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 no. Don't get it twisted, Slime. He wants a skill to sound useless. We're trying to advocate that the skills are useful. Yeah, that's true. It's actually kind of scary. I don't know how I feel about that. Good, probably, probably for the best. It's still just like, ew. Ugh. I don't know how I actually that would give me some existential dread if my two moments of really bad time where something happens, I see that my hand is no longer attached to my body. I black out, and the next time I wake up, my hand's reattached to my body. I think I would have some mental processing to do. I'd have a lot of mental processing to do in that situation, actually. The wonders of science, the dread. I think that'd be pretty hard to, that would be hard for me to think about. It'd be hard for me to think about. I would have some pretty bad Ship of Theseus existential nightmare going on if it's like, oh yeah, we could just put it back. You could just put it back. It's already bad enough that it wasn't attached. I don't know. That fucks with my head, man. That's scary to me. It's good. It's an objectively good thing, and it's a subjectively terrifying thing to me. I'm not saying I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying it's gonna cause problems for my brain. Do it, but I'm gonna have some things to think about. Exactly. They put it on wrong. What if it doesn't work quite the way that it used to? Like, is that not terrifying? Am I alone on that? Like, surely there's still going to be consequences, right? It literally was separated from my body for a period of time. They just plugged it back on. Yes, absolutely. It still is going to make me fucking uncomfortable with my body on a more fundamental level. I think my brain would have a hard time processing that. You could have gotten a hook hand instead, actually. Yeah, and I think it would have been like, at least I have a hook hand now. Instead of my old hand, which wasn't attached to my body at all. it's more of like the sort of like throwing in the face of God moment that I think I would be struggling with more than, oh, hey, I got my hand back. Obviously, I'm not going to have a problem with still having a hand. I'm going to have more of a problem of the experience of having my hand removed only to have it reattached. It's a stressful thing. Cut his full thumb out while slicing carrots and put it on ice. Finished slicing the carrots, then went to the hospital and still reattached. Ooh, I hate it. Nightmare. It's that kind of thing of like knowing that your body is more malleable, but for some reason to me that is like terrifying. Uh-huh. Creeper, you're so late. We already made that joke. No, you're good. Like it really does. It's like it is a Frankenstein kind of like, even if it is your body. Like it's like there's something about that that's like really existentially disquieting to me about the idea that on some level that was no longer a part of your body. Just it just wasn't there. And now it's back. And it's like that doesn't compute in my brain on a like on a matter level. Ah, that explains it. That's okay. I don't blame you for that. It's tough out there, man. Exactly. Exactly. And that would mess with my brain. And I think it's understandable. That's an understandable thing to have mess with your brain, I think. It's very, 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 very disquieting to me. For me, the moral is I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. I live in a little bit of disembodied dread all the time, anyways. So I don't even know where it really comes from. I say that a lot of that comes from I grew up seeing enough animes in media in which people like get dismembered and are still alive, that even though I'm like, yeah, that's a thing that can happen, something about it formatively fucked me up enough that even though I would still be willing to put it in media that I would make, I would put it in there because it kind of fucks me up, man. It's a fucked up thing. It's the brain does not know how to compute it either way, right? Like, oh my god, I should have a hand. I don't have a hand anymore. And oh my god, I didn't have a hand. My hand is back. This is why I always default to I don't need arms. It would be better for me. That's fair. I think transhumanism is a concept that I think fascinates me, and I think I'd be willing to engage with it, but I do think it is still a bit of that kind of like science fiction existentialness of like being like, well, I don't know how I feel about it. I say keep your cybernetic enhancements away from me as far as possible. See, I think I'm in a weird space of like, it's it's a me thing. It's not a someone else thing. If somebody has cybernetics and be like, oh, dude, that's awesome. Oh, dude, that's hot, actually. Cybernetics for me, though, my entire brain shuts down. That would be a nightmare for me, I think. That said, I think robots are fucking awesome. I think it would depend. I think that um, cosmetic cybernetics are a weird thing in that I would never. I don't know what I would want, actually, if I got cybernetic cosmetics. Probably arms, actually, weirdly enough, probably arms. I'm a fucking sicko, I guess. Um, but, like, that's hard for me to, like, think about. And even then, it's like, these hands. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have them anymore. It'd be hard to be like, they're better. Though sometimes I'm like, not that great. Wish I had better hands. Depends. There's a botnet made out of network of internet things, devices with like fridges and baby monitors. Let's not allow cybernetics to be part of that. That's fair. Transhumanism is its own interesting kind of like moral philosophical thing that I've always liked and have been interested in not a way that's just as simple as it's bad. I actually think there is a lot of value in a lot of like interesting things that the concept of like transhumanism and cybernetics and body modification beyond the standard that can be for a lot of good, but also can be for a lot of bad and cause a lot of problems that will be something we'll have to face that'll be like on an individual level on some level. Mm-hmm. I'd say it always comes down to consent, right? Right? Like it is, and even then, that's always like a whiffy thing, right? Everyone should always be allowed to be able to regret something in um post. Like at one point, you could be super down for something and then realize, oh, this was a bad idea. Uh, and people should be still allowed to be able to have that experience and be able to recognize that. I've had that. That said, I think that that doesn't mean that like you did anything wrong, even. And having that kind of experience is something that is for you as an individual to process, regardless of what it is. And for the case of cybernetics, I think it is tough. It is tough because there are very valid reasons, and there are very valid reasons to have that kind of technology, and there are very valid reasons to have the ability to do biological modification and personal modification on yourself that are valid, that people can and do benefit from. So I think it always should come down to always be able to we should be moving in the direction that those options should be available for people. And what advancement should ultimately be moving towards is how can we do that in which someone can safely try things with their body, with things like that, without leaving them to feel like I shouldn't have done that to myself. And that's the harder thing, the more harder morally gray thing to like figure out. So I mean, what is the skull but a jar with holes in it? Every jar has a hole, I'm just saying. We don't gotta talk about what those holes are for, so yeah. And fair enough. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't cybernetics I would be interested in. I'm just saying that I think there's always two sides that can always and should always be validated of if you do something with the intent and then realize, dang it, this still wasn't quite what was right. That doesn't invalidate that you wanted that thing to happen. And if anything, it probably still validates of actually no, that still is the right way. But you got to figure out where to go from there with your body and with anything. Um, what's the next step? What do you do next? And that involving cybernetics is going to be a very interesting human question, always, to me, anyways. Is like in implants and cybernetic involvement is only going to continue to kind of spur that question in that direction of, for me, the best thing to do is to say, what do I do next now that this has happened, rather than always, oh, it ended up being something ultimately bad. Like, no, I actually think that if you make a decision for yourself, like, it is totally acceptable to recognize I need to do something else now because nothing is ever going to be 100% perfect. Ever. So, we do we've been doing body modification from the dawn of time, arguably. So, I'm definitely not here to say like all body modification is bad. Actually, no, quite the opposite. It's a journey for oneself to figure out how to figure out their body works. And arguably, nobody ever does perfectly, and by the time you do, you're too old to use it. And now you have new problems to figure out. So, that's why if my hand were to fall off and then you reattach it, I'm going to be having some existential dread because those are the thoughts that I have all the time. The human body is a big mess, no matter what you do to it. And that's okay. That's okay. It's an okay thing. It's hard enough to accept your body anyways. And as long as you're going in a direction that you're happy with, regardless of anything that happens, that's what matters. So if you want to plug a bunch of cyborg parts to yourself, if you want to have, honestly, I'm always in the weird camp of either take my arms or give me more of them. I would actually be down for more arms. If anything, I don't think I would want any cybernetics that replaced anything. I would want cybernetics that extended. I would want more. Give me more arms. You don't have to take my arms. Just give me more of them. I would be down for that. Give me more body parts. I'm down for that. I don't think I want my body parts replaced. I just want more of them. I think that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with cybernetics. I don't necessarily want any part of my body removed, and I don't want any part of my body necessarily changed, but I do want more of them. I'd absolutely love more arms. That'd be great. Fucking rad as hell. And that's a me thing. Of course, always remember, that's a me thing. I would say I'm at a point in my life that, if anything, the only changes I want to my body or anything is me grappling with the fact that I'm constantly aging. And I'm lucky for that. So, I'm not. I'm glad that that is my life experience, and I totally still can relate, because trust me, I had to do a lot of work to get there, and I still have my moments. I stress about my body in its own ways all the damn time. That said, yes, give me more arms. And absolutely, absolutely take more arms. Don't know if I'd do more legs. I don't see a value in having more legs. Maybe a tail. And that's not even for furry reasons. I just think, like, if I needed more arms and needed to balance, having a tail would be a good way to do that. I think I just want more arms. It also have to be prehensile. I'd want it to be able to grab things. Just want more arms. Like if I could keep working, and let's say I have a prehensile tail, like just like a robot tentacle. I could be drawing, and then that prehensile tail could I could pick it up a cup and be drinking and keep working. So yeah, like I don't want anything changed down on my body. I definitely want more things added to it. That would be great. How dare you? I would say my relationship with this is so far is I would be down for animal parts. I still I just don't I don't I'm not that far. Anything I would if I was to have that tail, I would not want it to look like an animal tail. I'd want it to look like one of the fucking Metal Gear tentacle robot tubes. I would want that. That's what I would want. Absolutely, without a doubt, without question. Maybe a cat girl boy, maybe a cat boy girlfriend, but I don't know what that has to do with anything. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Yeah, except I'm not banking on Elon doing it anymore, and that's all I'm gonna say. We don't gotta get into it. He's not welcome here anymore. I'm gonna say his name once and say no one's allowed to talk about it. No buts. If chat starts talking about it, I will ignore it. I promise you. Fuck him and everything that's going on right now. We need somebody new to make the girlfriend to make the cat girlfriends now. We can't trust him to do it anymore. I can't. I won't. Just say you'd want to be a silly car. I do think cat traits would be nice. I don't know if I'd want cat ears though. I couldn't wear headphones no more. I actually don't think I'd want cat ears. I couldn't wear headphones no more. That'd be a problem. Yeah, I think really only the tail would be the only feature. I just really want a tail. I just really would like to have a tail. I think a tail would be nice. For a lot of reasons. Uh-huh. I mean, there's a lot of worse human going on right now, but always remember, I think everybody's starting to finally wake up and smell the ashes, so. And if that's the case, hey, I'd say at least people are doing it. And I always maintain, was a lot of things in the world preventable? All the time. What matters is, are we doing anything about it? We could bitch about it later. We should just do something about it now. Who fucking cares? I don't anymore, and I'm willing to finally at least say and do things about it. Anything is preventable. What matters is, are we doing anything more to keep it from getting worse? That's what matters at this point in history. That's what matters to me, and I think that's what matters to remind everybody. And that's why I'm like, I still want to maintain. We're not. We are here to make a space that people can also disconnect and detach from that stuff. Just also know Because always remember, we're all in this shit together, and it's more valuable to remind people of that no matter what. We don't got to go deeper into it. We don't got to debate on it. This is not a place to debate really anything, let's be honest. That's where we stand. You're safe here. You should be safe here, and I want people to feel safe here. That's all that matters. Always. And I have to remind myself, kind of something Sean subliminally put in my head, if you're too afraid to say fuck Nazis, I think that's a problem. That should not be something you should be afraid to say. Just saying. If you're afraid to say fuck Nazis and fuck fascism, that might be a problem. That might be a problem. You know what? I don't want to be too afraid to say that. Touch your fluffy tail. Touch your fluffy tail. Thank you for letting my drawing streams be productive and also a period for me to vent a little. I guess I just fucking need it sometimes, man. I think we all do. I think we all do. And I want to maintain that statement as a clarification. Make sure to always do it safely. Remember, the people you're talking to are people too. If you are venting to somebody, they're a person too. So always remember, make sure your venting is directed, is safe, and that you are doing it responsibly. It is okay to vent to somebody, and it is okay to have someone to vent to. Always remember that it is a practice. It is something that you have to learn to do carefully and responsibly. You can't. Again, trauma dumping is not good. It is actually kind of bad. It is a thing you shouldn't do, and it is a thing that is to be discouraged. But it is also equally that you should not let that stuff just sit in your head. You need to. The most important thing is if something is on your brain and it's bothering you, find ways to actually be able to exercise it, because otherwise it's equally as bad and it's just going to cause problems. So always remember, it is totally understandable and reasonable, and you should always find the best ways to process anything that you're experiencing and going through, and that's okay. Tails! Forgot to give Andrew his tail. That recent doodle. Aw! Give him his tail. Also, Silos is really sad that you didn't like the little thing he made for your birthday. Or at least you felt like you didn't. I liked it. It was good. He was sad. And touch Fluffy Tail. Touch Fluffy Tail. Yeah, I don't think I'm a Fluffy Tail kind of guy. Guess only Foxtail. Foxtail. I always like the taper though. I don't like a tail like this. Always like me a nice teardrop tail. And I like me a nice prehensile tail. I guess I like this. Depends. Like on tiers of tails, like me a good teardrop. Like me a good like medium width prehensile. Like me. Yeah, I'm just not a big dogtail guy. It's just not my thing. It ain't my thing. These are it, and maybe like something like kind of This is probably just because I have a cat with a tail like this. I also like that kind of tail too. He's cute. He's a little dumpy guy. Bunny butt. I like me a good bunny butt. How about a spaded tail? Like, eh. I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the old devil tail. Seeing as I'm having a hard time drawing it, I'm gonna say, eh. Aesthetically, it's okay. It's funny. More like something more like this. See, if you want to get me to draw something, make sure this is. Hey guys, I want to thank you. This is how you get me to like draw something. The number one way to get me to draw something is if I can immediately connect that it will literally take me 2 seconds. I will draw it for 2 seconds to distract myself. Also, rapport. Honestly, you just gotta be here for a while, man. I like a good heart tail. I like me a good heart tail. Trying to think. Dinosaur tail or dragon tail. Actually, aesthetically speaking, not super big. Same with fishtail. Depends. These are probably my top three. These are my top three tails. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely, Creeper. Absolutely. Comes to how to everything's pulled together. Exactly. I don't know. Demon tails, they could be cute, but they're not. They're not on my immediate. They're nice aesthetic, but they're not. They're not my go-to. I think it depends on how they're shaped too. I don't like super wiry. I like full. I don't know why. I like a fuller aesthetic. And we're all going to talk about this in incredibly vague terms. And we're not going to talk about specifics here. Your sick imaginations can do that on your own. The no fluffy tail, I mean, it it depends. It depends. I think it has to be like volume. I think there's like a sweepy tail that I'm not big on, but like yeah, if it's a big poofy volume, that's why I get always the impression of really nice foxtails being like super volumey and soft. That I yeah. Yeah. There also has to be a certain I don't like draggers and danglers. I like when a tail has like presence. I don't know, like clearly like it is something that is not just like hanging off the body. Like it is more prehensile or has more like physicality to it. Now we're back to Doc Ock because sometimes it's just like, yeah, I just really want a tentacle. I would like a tentacle. It'd be nice. There's a lot of functions. There are lots of functions. We don't have to talk about all of them, but there are lots of functions I can use a tentacle for. I'm not being shy, I'm being responsible. You all know, hey, you listen, I'm just saying it doesn't have to be discussed here. We all know the other things. I just don't gotta talk about it every single time. I'm not shy here. Y'all already fucking know. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. As I've said, my interests are always a lack of or too many limbs. I like it. I either want fewer or more. Hmm. Uh-huh. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, Comfy. Don't worry about that. I will say, and I appreciate this actually. There's like I feel like there's a lot of like still right now a lot of like kind of more prudent, kind of more feelings on stuff with like sex and stuff. And I want to say this as also an appreciation to the community. You guys have been great. And you guys have like really actually been good at being supportive of something that I think I don't ever want to quote unquote get rid of because in reality it is a good thing. That uh like we aren't gross actually, or at least I don't think I am. Oh fuck. Ah shit. But no, I think that it is a good thing. It certainly is like if it is ironically like no, we need spaces like that to make it safer because I think a lot of this hush hush about sex and stuff really makes it harder for people to feel comfortable about literally anything when I think 90% of people are just normal people who deal with a part of their body that they don't know how to deal with, and it's not invasive or dangerous or anything, but they feel like they are all the time. And what I want to be able to have that space be is no, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be. So I actually appreciate that. Like, and again, like, I have rules for it. They're very clear rules, and I'm glad people are engaging with it because in reality, if I would have just had any engagement on a like safe level for a long time, like I do now, probably would be a lot better with it, a lot better about it, a lot better about expressing it. Because like I agree, I think a lot of people, no matter their actual interests, by the way, um, get really gross about sex in a way that is gross and like definitively, and it actually has nothing to do with like your like sexual interest or gender. Like people get gross about it in a way that I wished people would make it a positive thing more rather than a weird gross power thing. I've never liked that. I never will like that, and I don't think it should be the norm. I really don't. I want to push back on that. It doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be. Anything, it should be play. I don't know why it's not treated as play more. It's either super utilitarian or super abusive. Don't like that. Just have fun. And I'm glad you guys help make that a space for that, because that's what it should be. That's what it's there for. It's so funny. I feel like I developed that seeing like a bunch of people have like horny servers, Buddha Buddha, both as a joke, both as serious, and I kind of like wanted to land in the middle of that of like being like, no, this is serious, but it's serious from the perspective of like, no, actually, how can we make this a positive thing and not a gross thing necessarily? 'Cause believe you me, it has not mattered to me what somebody's sexuality actually is uh, for them for me to still hear some stuff that I'm like, man, I just really didn't want to know that. Or, man, this makes me really self conscious of myself. It sucks. And I kind of want to like be a voice to be like, no, that's not okay that happens. It shouldn't happen to me, and it shouldn't happen to anyone. You should feel validated in however you engage with it, as long as, obviously it's safe for yourself and the people that you involve in it. Those are the only rules that I say when it comes to it. Is like, you should always feel comfortable with whatever you're interested in. Just always remember, you're doing it safely, and the people that you're involving with are doing it safely with you. And obviously, no kids. That goes without saying. And obviously, no kids. Keep the kids out of it. They got their own problems. You don't need to fuck them up. Ugh. Anyways. Anyways. Where am I at? Only about 1 o'clock. I'm at a very slow part of the animation, I'm noticing. Like, this part of the animation is very, like, ah, jeez. It's very little motion. You could argue, well, why don't you just, like, copy the face? Or, like, only have the part that's moving is the hands. And, like, trust me, I've tried that so many times. It doesn't fucking work. I don't know why. My style does not work where I just keep something the same. I have to redraw it every time. I don't know why. I've tried. I've tried. And if it's 20, okay, so 24 frames a second, this is at 35. 35. Next one would be 59. That's 1 second. God. I want this to be about 2 or 3 seconds, so it gives it style. Thank you. I just don't know what it is. Like, I know there's ways to like do that. Like, I've seen things do it where they just have a character hold still and other things move, and I just can't get that to feel right. I can't get that to feel right. I don't know why. Like, every now and then I can, like this, and even then I want to go back in and like add little tweaks and stuff. Very strange. I don't know why I have to like redraw every frame. But hey, on the flip side, it makes me faster at drawing. Like, it does, objectively. Like, it's one of those cases of like, if I could not redraw every frame, I would. But at least I'm getting something out of it. It's not like I'm like, well, I have to redraw every frame and like suffer for it. Like, it actually is beneficial to me to do it this way. Um, Like I gain a benefit from doing it. You know, there is value in me redrawing the frames because I get a little bit better practice at being consistent and I do better. And yeah, I am. The only thing I'm not happy with is how fucking long it takes. But also that is patience. I think that is me having had to overcome an element of my own art that I was never super satisfied, which was feeling like I took too long. Like I took too long to make things. I see people making things all the time. See individuals making things all the time, like super duper duper fast. Feeling like, oh, I just am too slow. And you want to know what happened? The more I practiced, the more I ran into these situations, the more I just was like, fuck it, if this is the process I have to do, this is the process I have to do. Guess what? I got faster at it. And the thing with having to hand animate and having to hand draw a frame over and over and over again with slight little tweaks, you learn shortcuts. You learn ways to draw that thing faster. And if you ever have to draw it in the future, you can do it consistently again. And then, like you said, like I have a little bit, there's a little bit more personality in it because it means that I'm not just putting a lifeless husk there. Like there's little itty bitty changes that happen every single frame due to the imperfections of how I draw it because I don't actually draw it the exact same every single way. I just draw it referencing the previous frame as much as possible, and that preserves some feeling, but means that there's a little bit of difference every single frame. That said, this is a much longer action than I was anticipating it to take, but I mean, goal wise, this is one of the situations where I think I have to be like, well, how could I make this longer without having to draw as many frames? But I just can't fathom a way and have it look good. Might have to experiment, but that would be R&D. And right now the goal is to be always pushing forward. This is how you get cuts in R&D because theoretically speaking, the right thing to do would be to test things out to see if I can find an alternate solution that would go faster. But that would take equally as much time as just fucking doing it. It's like, that's not to say that never applies. Usually the best way that I've found to do something faster is I'm like working on it and then I just find a shortcut naturally. And I'm like, oh, well shit. And granted, if I would have been developing the process in a way that would have been like, oh, I could have just found this faster way and been doing it from the start, it's like, well, that would be nice, but usually the way that I process and the way that I get better at any given skill is I have to find a way that works. And then as I'm working on that way that works, I find ways that either enhance or modify the thing that already works. But at least I have something that works, so I'm constantly at least making some progress, even if it's slower and I could have found a faster way. So I think it's better for me to constantly be building on top of something that I've established already works rather than searching for the things that work best first and then working at that best because it means I wasn't making any progress the whole time I was looking for the best way to do something. Ain't that just the way? Dude, my cat had me pinned the other day for a similar reason that I was just like, my roommate was like, I made food, and I was like, I'd love to go get it. My cat won't let me move. think this is one of these moments where I just have to keep going, right? Like, I'm so tempted to be like, let's look at it again, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm gonna try something. Because again, a lot of animation is about timing. More about the analysis of the timing and the time it takes for an action to happen. It's all about being able to gauge how long something will take to happen and what it will take to make that action happen. So it's very easy to draw a bunch of frames and then realize that took too long or I that went way too fast. So it's all about for me, it's all about finally coming to kind of consensuses on calculation of like, if I'm 24 frames a second, I know how long a second is. I'm developing the understanding of how long a second is. I know how many frames I need to draw to make that second happen. And so if I can thus translate an action takes X seconds, I know Y number of frames to draw. That's the goal to get to when you're trying to learn animation that I have been slowly steadily through this project, getting a better frame of reference for. For this example, this action is actually very long. It's taking a lot of time. Like you think about it. You pull your hands together and you start fiddling. Like that could be a few seconds. That could be a few seconds. But an action that I'm about to do might be that's a fast action. That might be less than half a second. That might be half a second at most. So that means 24 frames a second. The next action should be roughly around 10 drawn frames. No, actually 5 or 6 drawn frames. Because well, the way that I'm working is it is 24 frames a second, and every time I make a new drawing, most of my drawings for any constant, consistent action are happening on twos, which means I'm drawing 12 frames for every second because every 24 frames is a full second of time. You want to know what I'm proud of? I very very subtly on my own developed a very tried and true animation fundamental like not even fundamental. The fundamentals of animation are their own thing. I stumbled on a very consistent animation practice when it comes to how do you decide your frame rate when you are animating? Because, oh, HydrateBot, thank you. Well, you gotta change that, bud. HydrateBot ain't just for me. Friendly reminder, HydrateBot and Hydrate Ban are a reminder for everyone, not just me. So if you have water, if you need to go get a drink, go get yourself a drink. Go get yourself a drink. But choosing a frame rate is a little bit more complicated with drink your cat. Don't drink your cat. They are a liquid though. Anyways, when it comes to choosing a frame rate for animation, the struggle is that animation is not the same as frame rate for a game, frame rate for a movie, frame rate for a TV show. It is a different kind of a conceptual frame rate because it is a frame rate you, the creator, control on a creative level. And it is something that you, as a creator, need to be able to be in sync with to be able to do your animations properly, at least from a hand-drawn frame-by-frame animation standpoint. And the reason why is because it's easy to be like, 60 frames is the correct amount, right? Wrong. The reason why it's not the correct amount is for the simple fact of the amount of work that it actually takes, coupled with having to break that 60 frames down into chunks. Arguably speaking, you could still do that. But essentially, all you're doing is making yourself work more if you decide to utilize the power of the 60, or work the same amount that you would have if you're working at 24 frames a second on 2s. Because essentially, at 60 frames a second, you're no longer working at 2s, you're probably working at, like, 5s? Because you don't need to work at 2s at 60 frames a second. And if you are drawing 30 frames for a single second of action if you're working at 2s at 60. Whereas if you're working at 24, you're drawing 12, which is still a fucking lot. Now, you might ask, then why don't you do 12 frames per second? That's not enough. 2s at 12 frames per second is 6 drawings. It's just not enough. That's just not enough frames. Just isn't. 24 is that weird sweet spot that we've found. And the reason why it particularly works well is if you work well with tweening. If you do a lot of tweening, depending on the motion, if you have 24 frames a second, you want to break it down into 2s eventually, the best way to do that is you can start at 24 frames a second. Say you're drawing just a second of action. You frame that out, right? You frame that out. You get your entire action. You have the start and end. And then you break it into chunks. Well, now you can break it into 8s. That's 3 8s. And then you take those 8s, you can break them into 4s. And then you take those 4s, you can break them into 2s. You didn't have to add frames. You didn't have to reduce frames. And from there, you could decide, okay, do I need to add more 2s here? Do I need to add more 2s there? But for that entire second, you had been able to very cleanly, very easily dissect it into 8s into 2s into 4s. Or 8s into 4s into 2s. Thus the power of a 24 second. Whereas, yeah, it's an oddly convenient number for stuff like that. Whereas if you're at 60 frames a second, break that down. That'd be into 20s, and then you could turn 20s into 10s, and then 10s into 5s. You could go down to 5s. Guess what? You just did. You're working at 2s at 24 frames. You can't actually cut it down any more than that because it doesn't go clean. It doesn't go clean anymore. You can't easily do that. You can't work up to a 60 very easily off of 2s, right? Like, it doesn't do a clean cut, actually, without doing a lot of fucking work. You can't, I guess you could do 4s. You could do 4s. 4 divided, that's 15, 4 divided by 60, and then you're kind of like, it's okay. You're getting a little bit of it. You're getting 3 extra frames, essentially. But they'd be weird. They'd be fucking weird frames. You have a couple in your extended family who's really good at twinning. They had 4 kids, 2 at a time. Well, that's... I'm not talking about twinning. I'm talking about tweening. There's a difference. And this all goes back to, this is why you don't make requests of the boy. The boy isn't here to draw what you want. The boy is here to talk about animation and to share their knowledge. I'm here to share my knowledge, guys. I don't know everything, but I do want to share what I know. That's always what it comes back to. Why it's also, I need to make a rule. No debates. Actually, this isn't a place to really debate. There's a difference between debate and a difference between finding information that complements something that I didn't know. Here come the body! If I know something, or if I process something at least, here come, hello boy. If I've processed something and I like want to share my knowledge about what I've learned, and be able to be like, okay, this is what I understand of something, right? This is not an open invitation to be like, well, I think different. This is an open invitation to be like, this is the information you have. Here's something I can add to it. If you're being additive, absolutely, I can engage with that. Reductiveness will just not be allowed here. It just can't. It's really hard to not. It's easy. It's not easy to be reductive of something ever. And I just think I'm at the point that I'm like, you're not adding anything. I'm sorry. Not to say anybody has here at this moment. It's me kind of laying down a ground rule, both for everyone and myself, to be like, it's not a conversation I ever like having when it happens. You know, if I share some information, if I share some insight that I've found, it shares some process that I've done, or share something that I'm currently like going through, it is to be like, hey, I want to document something that I have experienced. Actually, the irony is additives and preservatives are allowed. We don't want reductions. Dissenters will be dealt with. Again, like, the thing is I've just learned is leave the debates to people who can do debates at all. I can't. Just can't. It's exhausting to me. I get tired out very, very, very quickly. And really, I'm just like, this isn't why I think or talk about anything, is to be constantly questioned about something that I've processed from my perspective incredibly heavily. Doesn't mean you have to agree. Absolutely not. Nobody has to agree with me on anything. We all have different perspectives. That's the whole point, is sharing your perspective should not be a competition. It's not a competition. You can share your perspective even. Just be like, oh, this was my experience. And I could be like, okay, sure. It's not a competition. People's perspectives are not a competition. My perspective isn't right and objectively. So if you've had a differing experience, I always want to make it clear that it's like I'm sharing something that maybe you didn't experience. That's more valuable. Always remember that. Always be able to take if it's something that you haven't experienced, what you really should do with that information is be like, "Oh wow, I didn't think about it that way." That's it. That's all. Also that too. Always remember that like it's okay to debate something as long as you can remind the other party like this doesn't change our relationship. This doesn't change our friendship. And what is more important is do we come to a compromising collection of like at least I understand how you think even if I don't agree with it. You don't have to agree with the way that someone thinks, but you do have to at least be willing to be like, do I understand why they think the way they do? That's what's more important. The reason why I bring that up is it's just like I feel like I struggle a lot with myself of feeling like people take me seriously from the perspective of like not from the perspective of I have no value in the things that I say, but that people are very quick to question what someone says as valid. That bugs me because that's usually how it is presented to me. Is I will say something, I will say like, "Oh, this is something I've thought of," or in a more recent case, "Oh, this is something that I have actually experienced and understand the reasoning behind why it is the way that it is," only to have it be completely dismissed and turn into this really awful disagreement that had no purpose in happening because in reality I know what I'm talking about. Like it's not a matter of opinion, it's actually a matter of me stating something that I researched and studied and was taught. was taught that way, um, and has nothing to do with my opinion. Like, I have a weird, I guess, a weird opinion that I would like to believe is I was taught things that were taught to me because they were intended to impart knowledge and not because they were my opinion. Like, if it was my opinion, it wouldn't have been taught to me. It wouldn't have been something that I had to learn in school. It wouldn't have been something that I would have had to study and research and understand if it was my opinion. And unfortunately, I got caught in a argument with someone else's opinion about something that isn't an opinion. We don't have to go into it more than that, but it does stick in my brain about how, like, wow, it really didn't matter what I said. It really didn't. Because ultimately, it wasn't about the opinion, it was about proving me wrong or proving that something else could be different. And I kind of hate that. Like, no shit. No shit, things could be. Oh, so many things could always be different. The world could be different. Everything is circumstance. But I would like to believe, on some level, on some guiding way that I can contribute also for myself to the world, is everything could always be different, and there are a billion branching options into a billion other universes, and we're in this one. We're inside of this one. So it's more important to me to be like, what are the truths that we can, on some finite, small layer level, say are agreed upon? That's it. Because, yeah, everything is circumstance. Anything can be boiled down to circumstance. What matters is, what are we doing with those circumstances? Not how could they be different. Wow, apparently I'm still processing that conversation. Fair enough. This is what I do when I draw. This is what happens when we draw here. Not, in fact, it's spam. There we go. And I think that's why I'm like, I kind of came out the gate today. If it seemed like, where's this coming from? I've just, it, there is also something to be said. No buts, both for me and for everybody out there. I notice things that nobody does because they directly are things I interface with every fucking day. And I gotta remember, you guys don't. You actually don't. And why I'm like, hey, I'm super grateful for you guys because things have been bothering me a lot recently, but you guys have been awesome and great ultimately, and you probably don't even realize it. You guys probably don't even know the extent of the things that inhabit my brain on any given day. Or maybe you do based on how often I go into these rants on my drawing streams. Maybe you're super familiar with it, and I extra appreciate you guys for being able to join me on these trips of Isaac unpacking his brain. Because God knows, at least I hope it's entertaining. I understand that that's what I'm here for, is at least it's entertaining, I hope. And then mainly it's always a reminder to myself that I need to be clear always on where I stand. Yeah, it is one of my favorite pastimes because here's my kind of like perspective on the way that I hope that I'm presenting it is that maybe it's not always meant necessarily fun, but at least it's engaging, right? Like I feel like you guys are getting information and are getting something more than just me complaining about something all the time. I definitely don't want to be that kind of person. Hence why conversations, if we ever get into more serious conversations or awkward conversations about stuff, like it's always to go back to but I want everyone to benefit from this because I want to benefit from it. Or at the very least, if I'm benefiting from it, it's not at the expense of you guys. Absolutely not. And anytime that I have done something like that, if anything, I could attest that was a mistake on my part. It should always be, hey, we're all in this. We're all benefiting, or at least pseudo benefiting, you know. You guys aren't being harmed by me when I'm doing stuff like that. Which is why I have to admit, John is right. You don't argue. Really, it's a rule both ways. You don't argue with chat. Just don't. It's just, I shouldn't. It's not a good time for me, and it goes poorly no matter what. Friendly reminder, I know that. Friendly reminder, I'll try to hold myself accountable for that when it happens. I don't argue with chat. Flip side, chat, please don't argue with me. Nobody wins. Nobody wins! That's the point. Nobody wins. When an argument happens, everybody loses. It's a bad time. Don't argue with the audience. Because the audience don't know anything about the things that you're struggling with half the time. So... sometimes the audience just doesn't realize that they overstepped a line. Fair enough. It's on me to be more responsible and realize, oh, hey, they overstepped a line and maybe they don't know it. You can really tell that the last drawing stream kind of messed me up a little bit. Fair enough. Again, responsibility here. I'm trying to also right that. That's the thing. Point to something I said earlier. When one makes a mistake, the right thing to do is not to think, damn it, I made a mistake. The right thing to do is to fix the mistake. That's accountability. That's accountability. It's the responsible thing to do. Heck. Is somebody being a hecker in chat? Because that's allowed. Heckering and heckling are two different things. You could be heck as heck. In fact, I encourage it. I appreciate it. I don't know, man. He just said he encourages being heck as heck, and I honestly didn't know what the fuck he was talking about at that point. He also talked about how he wanted a tentacle above his asshole. I don't know what that was about either. Also, that made... hey, to go back to that anecdote, I want to make it clear. I want the tail as like a complete appendage added to. Once again, it's not a plug-in. It's a complete appendage that's been attached. It's got to be above it. I still want it there. How dare you... your heck is heck. How dare you? I like that your heck is heck. Damn it. And this is it. Like, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I always reserve... I think this is always something... this is a piece of etiquette, both from me and a good piece of advice for chat if you are out there. It is always a two-way responsibility. I have no... it is on the streamer to be incentivized to engage as much as possible. But do reserve the right, and any streamer out there reserves the right to not respond to things that they are not comfortable, that they are not interested, and that they are not personally invested in engaging with. No matter what. Doesn't matter. It's not personal, and it is separated by that. Flip side, always remember as a chatter, you are always welcome to try to get the streamer to engage with something, and that's okay. Just always remember if it doesn't garner a response, it actually is not it is not more personal than you make it. Put it that way. Maybe it could be like, oh, that made me really uncomfortable, and they might be like, I don't know if I want to respond to that person now because of that. But that means then always keep that in mind. Try to like vet what you're saying and like think about it. Like, would I be comfortable with if somebody came to me and they were a complete stranger and I said that to them? And if it is, hey buddy, that's just you. That's okay. That's totally fine. But if the answer is no, probably shouldn't say it. So, I mean, okay, fine. If specifically speaking, I want it at the base of my spine, where it would be normally anatomically if I had a tail. I guess I wasn't specific enough. I don't want it directly above my asshole. That wouldn't be very good either. This is why science is all about being able to clarify when you make a mistake that wasn't clear. Mazel tov. We've come full circle. All of my discussions do eventually loop back into each other. Trust me. It isn't actually random bullshit. They're all topical to each other. It's all about a flow. It's all about a flow. All of this stuff sits in my head as a big messy soup anyways, and it's so much less about separating it out and more about finding why it all connects. That's how my brain works. I don't want to unscramble the egg in my head is what I'm saying. That shit's been scrambled. I want to know how it all connects. I mean, I get it. A lot of people probably live their lives wishing that their brains weren't as scrambled. And I'm here. That's the thing is like I think I get way, way, way more weird responses to things as a person because I kind of have embraced. I've always embraced on some level, even if I was insecure and was worried about myself. I've always been able to be like, ultimately speaking, the shit that's in my head are things that I want in there. That the things that are in my brain are things that I want. It's been more of the friction that has always been met with other people in interacting with it that has always bugged me. I've always liked my weird brain. I've always liked how weird I am and the thoughts that they have because they're ultimately harmless but ultimately weird and ultimately often very silly and awkward and stuff. Like I've never changed that part of myself, even if I was insecure about it. I've never actually gone out of my way to change that part of myself, and it's always come back around to I just wish people were chill with it. That's all, and that they I like it when people goad me to engage with that part of my brain. That's the kind of heckling you should do is it gets me to engage with that part of my brain. That's the heckling I like because it's the heckling that makes me engage with that part of my brain. And it does exist, and it does happen. That's why my friends are good at doing it. That takes time. You gotta develop. That's a developing relationship. You gotta get used to that part of me. You can get me to engage with something that I'm going to take in a wild direction. Absolutely do that. And I guess the last thing that sometimes I feel like I come off as, but it comes into a bit of a conflict, is this weird superiority competition I run into a lot. That is not intentional. A lot. I always sometimes get this feeling when I do end up in one of those debates that it's this weird like, oh, I got to take this guy down a peg or something. It's like I don't fucking care, man. I don't actually care what anyone thinks. I just want to give an answer if you ask me a question. That's it. I just want to give an answer. I don't really actually care. I don't care about anything. And I don't understand. I don't understand this weird competitive nature that some people have where it's like, oh, I gotta, even if I can't prove this guy wrong, I gotta prove that he's fault. He's at fault somehow. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Not at all. I'm at fault all the time. You don't gotta tell me that. And if anything, engaging with my brain on that is super painful for me. It super irritates me. And it makes me super bummed out. And yet people want to do that. And I'm like, don't do that. Don't do it. It's bad. It's bad for me. Like, I want people to be able to be like, I see what you're saying. I see what you're doing. And I hadn't thought about that before. That's the response I want when I talk about things. That's the response I want is for people to go, "Oh, I hadn't thought about that." You know? It's like that's it. That's all. Especially if it is coming from a place of study. Like, if I'm sharing my knowledge on a topic because I got it through my own study or research or investigation into something, the response I'd want is for someone to go, "Oh wow, I did not know that," and look into it further themselves. That's what it means to share knowledge. That's what it means to share information between people. Is it's instilling the inspiration to want to learn more and to want to know more. And that's what I want to give to people. That's what I want to give to the world. That's why I'm documenting as much as I can about video games. I'm documenting my process and learning how to animate. If you're an animator and this helps you, that's what matters. If you see me do something wrong and you go, oh, shit, and then I go, oh, shit, maybe I shouldn't have done it that way, or you notice it and you're like, oh, shit, maybe I shouldn't do it, and it benefits you, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a net positive, in my opinion. I can prevent you from doing something wrong because I did it first. That's a good thing. This kind of like always like actually correction of another person um that I've run into that maybe I've even been guilty of, which I need to keep myself in check on that if I ever do it. Um like it isn't good. It ultimately is not a good thing. It's not a good thing to do from anyone, including me. Um Things are not a proving contest. Things aren't a pissing competition 9 times out of 10. You're gonna open your PO box and you're just gonna remember this tentacle bit. I mean, comfy. I'll just, I well, I do have a camera, but I don't use that camera anymore. So if I open it live, you'll just hear some fun descriptions. I mean, Slime Night. That's okay. It's okay to recognize that too. And I think it's equally. I think usually the line there is when you start taking out on other people. which I've encountered. I'm like, that's not okay. And hey, I don't learn from plenty of my mistakes until it's too late. Trust me, that's a human experience. I think that's totally valid, and I think what is more important is, hey, don't be too hard on yourself though, actually. Don't actually be hard on yourself for it. It's always good and fun at the end of the day to make a good old gaff about how, man, I just don't know how to learn, don't I? And it's like, hey, actually, it's hard. Learning things is hard. It's a hard skill to develop. And people get it wrong all the time. I get it wrong all the time. I don't do as much research. I don't learn about things. I don't do things in a way that I probably should as often as I. And that's what this is all about. It is all about. That's what the stream is all about. This is a journey. Your life, everyone's life is a big floppy spaghetti mess. Figuring out things. No matter what, you're figuring out things. And every time you don't learn from your mistakes, it still is a part of your life. It's still an experience you have to have. You had to have. You ended up having. I'm going to actually argue you don't have to have a single experience in your life. They're just what ended up happening. That's okay. Anyways, talking about the direwolf thing, I never actually addressed that. I totally agree with him. What's the irony is they don't want to be compared to Jurassic Park, and immediately they're being Jurassic Park. Uh-huh. Exactly. So here's the thing, I totally agree with him, though I haven't seen his response video to what he's correcting. But as far as I can tell, based on everything that he's said, and my limited knowledge on what Colossal is doing, and also this kind of pop culture problem that has been happening surrounding pop science, is this idea that the only good science is the science that's cool. Sorry, guys, I went to school for science. That's a bad thing. That's a dangerous thing. It's an incredibly dangerous thing. Like, some of the best discoveries made were not cool in their time. They weren't. They absolutely weren't cool. They were just some shit that happened in a lab because people were studying shit. Science does fundamentally kind of have to not be cool. So, from my understanding, is we haven't truly cloned a direwolf. We have absolutely done the Jurassic Park conundrum. We have taken our understanding of the genome of the direwolf and then took an ancestor. We've taken a living analog, i.e. the gray wolf, because it looks like what we think a direwolf looked like. And we have now given a gray wolf the attributes, or are attempting to give a gray wolf the attributes and development of a direwolf. That's not a direwolf, everybody, and I think everybody can agree on that. That's not a direwolf. What we have done is we've made something shaped like a direwolf, as Mr. Hank has pointed out, and tried to say it's a direwolf. Now, this is the Jurassic Park problem in that if you really think about what Jurassic Park is doing, Jurassic Park has not made a single dinosaur that it is said that it had. What it has done is made a new animal that is shaped like the animal that we think, because we have enough understanding of their genetics, that we have recreated something that's shaped in our mind's eye to that original animal. But the reality is that animal is dead and in the ground. Exactly. And that's not to say that that's not cool science. That's incredibly cool, fascinating science. But de-extinction is much more complicated and much more difficult because what we want to do is a Lazarus taxa to say, no, we have resurrected that genome independently. And even if you have to use a surrogate like parent to birth that offspring, that fundamentally the offspring that came out was not a gray wolf, it was a dire wolf. And as far as I know, though I haven't seen his correction video, so I don't know what he's changed, based on his previous video, that is not what has happened. We have taken the genetics of a gray wolf and manipulated them to resemble a dire wolf. But genetically speaking, it is still not a dire wolf. It is a gray wolf. Thank you. Sorry, I understand a lot about biology, and I'm glad that you support me on that. And that's the point. That's the point to my whole conversation earlier. Is I don't have all the answers. I should do more research. And actually, here's something that I want to make a point in why it's like I can say that confidently. And if you're like, well, what makes you say that? What my next step should be is to immediately get on Google and start doing research, because that is why I want to confidently say I can say stuff like that is it's not because I know it. It's because I could say, this is what I've learned. I want to take the next steps to learn more. That's what it means to understand something. You understand something not because you have all the information, it's because you know where you can go to get more information. Or at the very least, can seek it out. And that's what I'm here for. I will seek out information if I need to seek out more information. No buts. No buts. There's no but there. Like, I'm not even saying, but I don't need to. I do need to. Everyone needs to. Chromosomes are something different. They're a whole... I'm not familiar with chromosomes well enough to be able to speak on that matter, but chromosomes are slightly different and aren't quite the exact... Chromosomes, from my understanding, are like bundles of genetic information, but they're not like genetic coding, right? They're like... Chromosomes are what fundamentally kind of dictate the blueprints, right? They're just the collection of all the genes. But the chromosomes themselves are actually independent of the genes, right? Like, eh. So, yes. And that's the thing, is like, that was something that was like, everybody is worried about, like, they're criticizing the Colossal for being like, didn't you watch Jurassic Park? And the irony is they should have read Jurassic Park, because the actual discussion about genetics is less of the dangers of genetics. Jurassic Park is a book that contains dinosaurs that wants to bring up an argument that fiddling with genetics for monetary gain is a problem. Not that genetic research is bad, or that dinosaurs are bad, and that we shouldn't resurrect dinosaurs. A lot of what Michael Crichton was actually talking about, that I do generally agree with, is that when you're utilizing that kind of genetic manipulation for political, monetary, corporate gain, that kind of corporate meddling is going to distill out scientific analysis. And that's more of a problem. And that's the irony of actually, no, Colossal is kind of running into the Jurassic Park problem, but not the Jurassic Park problem that people are worried about, because people are worried about the Jurassic Park problem of, now we're going to resurrect dinosaurs and the dinosaurs are going to eat people. That's what people are worried about, which is kind of missing a way more important part about what Jurassic Park brings up as a problem. Because I would love if dinosaurs would come back. But to do that, we should be doing it for a fundamental understanding of biology, not because we want to make money off dinosaurs. People forget that the problem is we were trying to make money off of dinosaurs, not that the dinosaurs came back. I would say it is. It is a problem, especially for science, because it means that... So there's an argument. Let's say let's use one of the movie's arguments. That I do actually, this is why I think movie Malcolm is better than book Malcolm. Book Malcolm is just an asshole who ends up having an existential crisis before he dies. Fun fact, he doesn't end up dying. He's in the second book anyways, even though he does totally die in the first book. And the only thing good about him in the book is his existential crisis he has before he dies. Hot take. But in the movie, fucking Jeff Goldblum and the writers really tapped into something really good that Jeff Goldblum brings up, which is the you didn't think about if you should, right? Now, that's a good kind of like straightforward way of being able to start the conversation of like the reason why it is bad is not that that the science itself couldn't be used for better things, but what they're using it for is fundamentally irresponsible. They are not using it for the betterment of things. They're using it to make money. And that is fundamentally not necessarily very good because the science there could be used to fucking breed a group of condors on the island, but it's not being used for that. It's not. It's being used to take advantage of the animals that are being made. And that goes back to the colossal thing in that there's this kind of fundamental issue with pop science that is become more and more common, which is we only want to talk about the science that makes money. When a lot of really important fundamental understandings of science that have been made over time were not done, at least from my perspective and my understanding, to make money. They were done to solve a problem, to answer a question, to get people thinking about things they hadn't thought about before. And unfortunately, that's a little antithetical to making money. A little bit. Because the pop part of pop science is people don't care about the things that aren't going to benefit somehow or show some beneficial value, especially in a monetary way. And that's dangerous. That's absolutely dangerous. And that's why he talks about that. That's the same thing about when a new dinosaur or prehistoric animal appears and they're like, we found a new shark that has horns. And it's like, we've known about sharks with horns for a long time, actually. It's just a new one that is a new taxa that they found. It's not actually new. And if people were genuinely invested enough to want to learn things about the world, they know that we know that sharks with horns have existed, we know that they have existed, and that they're cool for it. And it's not as new as people think it is, but it's still important that we know that there might be a new taxon about it and that it needs to be studied, because apparently horned sharks is way more common than we think it is. But a new shark was found with horns. It's not new, and that's the problem. That's one of the arguments that Jurassic Park comes up is that the fundamental application of something that could be really, really good used solely for business purposes or with a huge incentive of business purposes is fundamentally dangerous. It's saying it's fundamentally dangerous. And not even that doing things for profit is bad, that if it is done with profit in mind, you have to keep in mind that that can have consequences. It's a very dangerous line to be able to run, that you're doing something because it will make you money, not because it is only for the betterment of everything. That's all. And I think that's one of the things that Hank kind of brings up, and that it's still super exciting and cool that we are still fundamentally understanding genetics from a way that we can manipulate and understand it better and be able to utilize it to better do things, because there's a lot of problems in the world that stem from genetic problems that reside in genetics and reside in the presence and the understanding that genetics are more malleable than are more malleable, just are more malleable, and that we can harness a lot of power through genetic manipulation. But there needs to be that check and balance of, are we actually being responsible with it, though? So And also to always make sure to be clear that we're using the right words. And that sensationalism in the face of scientific discovery isn't being used in malpractice. Right? Like, we're using the right words. And that we want people to be invested and engaged and encouraged to support science, but not at the expense of being careful or be at the expense of saying something that's flatly not true. That was a big thing, is that the genetics of resurrecting a direwolf are different than making a really, really, really big gray wolf. That still has some pretty important implications, both good and bad. The fact that we can make an incredibly big gray wolf is incredibly important and should be researched and understood. But we need to say that that's what's happened. It's about the language, it's about the diction, it's about the way that it's reaching people, so that way there isn't misinformation. I feel like I made a lot of progress today. Maybe not necessarily on the... Well, actually, I think I at least doubled my frames on the animation. This is just going to be a really long part. And if you're out there and you're like, man, you removed the part where she kind of tilted her head, I might try to revisit that. I just didn't like what I did with it to begin with, and I needed more time in front of it anyways. So I want to try to do a secondary action at some point. But right now I just really needed to focus, and I failed arguably doing that, on just putting more padding. She just needed more frames in the action that she's doing. Like, she needed more time to get to that point. It happened too quickly. And that's where it's always important. Delete your art. Delete your art. If you don't like the way that something is looking, don't hesitate. Hit that button. Hit that button. Put it in the trash. Do something different. And it's okay. It's okay if you realize, oh man, that didn't quite work. Go ahead and test it. I'm still so happy with that head turn. It came out really good. Yeah, that's much better. That's much better. Still need to... Apparently I've fallen back into something. I don't know. I don't know if it's a focus thing or what, but I feel like there's a little bit too much, like, she's losing some cohesion there. She's getting a little bit squishy. Um, could be a focus thing. She kind of like melds a little bit. She's not supposed to do that, but oh well. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you can't know that something went wrong until you look at it and go, well, I gotta fix that later. Do your best to prevent a problem, fix the problem when it happens. That's my kind of thought on things. What matters more? Did something go wrong, or did you go back and fix it? It's tough. It's tough. It takes practice. But hey, I think this is coming out pretty good. I'm liking this. I think that looks better. I think that feels better. Yeah, she's got like a clear motion that she does now. I really want to make it clear that she's like fiddling with something. She maybe like rips something open or pulls something apart. Like, that, her hand motions are what I want her to be doing. So I probably still need to double. I need to double the amount of time that she takes on this. So I think the next action I'll do, I'll probably like have her finish that like pull apart, maybe like have her tilt her head once or something. And it's just gonna be a lot. I'm working on twos. I'm working at twos. It's gonna be a lot of drawing, and I'm drawing straight ahead. So, but I do think that works really, really well. Like, I think this is working really, really well. Yeah, this looks good. Unfortunately, that I just didn't like that head tilt, and that's sometimes how it goes. And this is something to say that if you're out there and you liked that head tilt, this is what it's like to be an artist. This is what it's like to be an artist. You don't know what people are gonna like. You only know what you like. And when you draw something, you go, I don't like it. And then somebody's like, hey, I like that. Well, tough shit. I'm the one making it. I didn't like it. I had to change it. It was gonna bug me too much. And sometimes, at least for myself, I feel like this looks better. I definitely feel like this looks better. And as that head tilt just wasn't doing it for me. It doesn't mean I won't do a head tilt. Just the head tilt there, at that time, it was too distracting. I just needed to do something else. So, I do need to watch that Hank Green video, his follow-up. Apparently, he did make an error. I want to know what his error is, because that's what it means to understand something. Like, you get some information, you process that information. Hey, new information appeared. And some of that information might not have been correct before. Want to know what my brain wants to do? What information was wrong, so that way I can correct my information. That's what it means to share information. Share your knowledge. I just want to share my knowledge. Hank Green just wants to share his knowledge. People genuinely want to share their knowledge. If you learned something today, I'm glad. If you don't agree with what I've said, fair. You don't have to. We're just here to share our knowledge. What's more important is was knowledge shared, was not knowledge indifferentiated. You don't have to agree with me. That's fine. Always remember, if you do try to bring that up at this point moving forward, I will ignore it. Because it's not worth my time. It's certainly not worth my fucking energy. God damn. It stresses me out too much. Like, there always is a difference in if you can bring information that can complement something I brought up to make an addition to what I understand. That's always welcome. That's always helpful. I want to be always working towards an understanding of, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that. I can add to it. I can add to my wealth of knowledge. I think at this point, we should all be able to say that if you hear what somebody says, what are the things you can do to add to what they say? Especially if they're talking about it in a way that makes you go, oh, that's some information I didn't think about or I didn't consider. Think about how to add to somebody. I'm at a point that I do think that dissent is destructive. It can be incredibly destructive. You have to be very careful. Very, very careful with dissent. If somebody's talking about something they agree with, that is like something that they've mulled on and thought over very, very heavily. You know, if you can't add to it, probably won't. Probably shouldn't. Even if they're wrong. You're not going to fix them. Not going to fix me, that's for damn sure, with anything that I'm wrong about. But if you can give me information, that would make me go, that's something I missed, that's not something I considered. Sure. You have to be very careful with that. You have to be very sure. That goes for anyone. Not just me. Yeah. I think I made good progress today. I think I did. I'm really happy with how the animation is coming out. I feel like it's very, very good. I've continued to do some of the best work I've done now at this point in my life. And whilst it took me a little bit to get there, to get motivated, I'm very happy with where she is right now. Hopefully next time I'll be a little bit less distractible. I think I'm just distractible this week. I'm really easy to talk about stuff and focus on talking on that rather than drawing. Don't know why. I think there's just a lot on my mind. There's a lot on my mind. Good, bad, there's a lot on my mind. And sorry guys, you're along for the trip. I appreciate that you are. No buts. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and open up Bing Create. We're going to make an image, and then I'm going to share that image before we rate out. If you want to contribute, all you got to do is type in chat whatever chat says. I'll use as a reference for the image that we make. So, to get us started, constantly distracting one's self from the animation at hand. And if you guys want to add to that, I'll give you a little bit. There's like one more bit I want to add to that, but I'll let you guys figure that out if you want to add to it. This is also something that I think I need to be willing to do more is like so if you look at the animation, I have like an endpoint, right, that I want to reach. Unless I definitively want that endpoint to be, maybe I just say it didn't hook back up to that endpoint. That might be something. I think the endpoint can still just be a reference. And if it ends up never reaching back to that endpoint, I just need to delete that frame. Everything, when it comes to making, especially in animation, everything is an asset. Be willing to change it. Be willing to change your work. Always be willing to change your work. Be flexible with yourself. You didn't do something wrong. You didn't make a mistake in the sense that you did something bad. Be willing to change if you notice that it could have been different and it could have been better. That's it. That's all. Always be open to the option to change something. So you just want me to put Asuka in there? I can put Asuka. Is that Asuka? It looks like Asuka. Well, I guess it's not quite Asuka. It looks like Asuka. No, that's a twin tail. Asuka doesn't have twin tails. I don't know who that is. And constantly distracting oneself from the animation at hand as you explain your inner thoughts to the red hair, to the red-headed twin tails anime girl sitting across from you. She's listening well and does a good job of trusting no, she's listening well and a supporting person to your inner thinking. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That'll make a great picture, guys. Boy, if any of this is not allowed, I won't know. I do not know what Bing will not want to say out of this if Bing doesn't want to say something out of this. All right. All right. So stick around to the very end. I also do a bit of a closing bit. We do raid after every stream. Also, she's cute, by the way, Slime. If you want to see that image, stick around to the very end. Yeah, dude, Bing loves anime. AI image generators love anime girls. You're right. So stick around to the very end. We also do a bit of a closing bit. We do raid after every stream, so that way the Daywalkers in our chat can keep watching. So everybody else out there, make sure to go lock your doors and windows because it's almost, or actually, you can go unlock your doors and windows. It's no longer lunchtime for Daywalkers. Thank you for joining, everybody. Hope you had a good time and you enjoyed the show. If you're able to join the live show, thank you for stopping by and chatting and watching. If you're watching this in the future, thank you for taking the time to go back and rewatch the VOD. We appreciate it. If you're out there and you enjoyed this and you want to see more of what we're up to, I recommend scrolling down below and following and clicking any of those links. There's links to all of my socials and everything that we post to, as well as a Discord. We post when we go live on any one of those platforms, as well as anything else that we're up to. And just generally, you can come hang out with the rest of the community on the Discord. It's a good time in there. Speaking of which, a shout out to our community there and everyone who follows. You guys are a wonderful audience and we appreciate you. If we do anything particularly entertaining or noteworthy, feel free to clip it and share it on the internet. Just make sure also hashtag it with MCCanary or link it back to the stream so people can find more of the good stuff we do here. And if you want to see the stream grow, you gotta let people know. I appreciate that people have been talking about the stream, and I encourage you guys to do it more. It's just rad that you guys are willing to do that, and it does help us out, and I'm just glad we're doing things that you guys want to talk about. So go tell people about the stream. Go tell your friends about the stream. I won't. And as always, a huge thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. Your generosity allows us to continue to expand the stream, as well as take on more projects, and the stream would not be made possible without viewers like you. We thank you. you want to see your name added to this list, as well as a couple of the benefits you can get, you go to subscribe directly on Twitch or check out the Patreon page here to show you everything that you can get. And any amount is always appreciated. Once again, thank you. Thank you to amounts to want to drop a whole back the robot army and friends becoming famous. Just thanks for everybody for coming and hanging out and chatting. I had a great time. I really did. Very good. I made progress. I'm glad where the animation is going. I'll have to do some... I think I hit a little bit lower on the bell curve of production. I think I'm going to have to go back and do some rework. But we still made progress, and that's what matters. So I appreciate that. We made progress. I'll have to do some correction, but that's okay. I didn't make negative progress. That's always what matters. Did you make negative progress? If the answer's no, you're on the right track. Well, I'll get you through housekeeping and get you on your way. Check out the rest of our friends in Goblin Entertainment here. That link tree has links to everyone's channels and everything that they've done that they've been up to. And the rest of my stuff here. I have my own link tree. It has everything that I post to. You should go check everybody out in Goblin Entertainment. Alright, apparently it's Alistair's birthday, so everybody go wish Alistair happy birthday. They're playing with a bunch of friends. They're having a good time, so go tell him a happy birthday. Go wish him a happy birthday. Go wish everybody in their chat a happy birthday. Go tell them happy birthday, Veronica. So stick around for that. Otherwise, have a good afternoon. Take it easy. Remember, I appreciate you guys. And unfortunately, Bing is a bad Bing today. Because Bing might have used some plagiarism. Ah, jeez. That's the spinning shark. I've exposed you to the spinning shark. You all unfortunately have to be gay now, I guess. Anyways, Bing decided to be bad. That's not original character. This is so much Doki Doki. That's so much Doki Doki. Like, even this is still pretty Doki Doki. Not as much, but the other one, Bing, can't steal. At least they're listening, though. Look, at least they're listening. It's true. This is always a friendly reminder. This bit is a reminder that AI is theft, and I'm here to call it out when it happens. We just wish to make fun of AI. Always remember, this is to make fun of it and how bad it is sometimes. And also, it's a bit of a moral dilemma sometimes, though, because it does allow people to make things and don't worry about it. AI will take my job from my dead bare hands.